Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Ready for Science Bob tonight? I know I am. Science Bob and Friends, Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Happy birthday, Stu, my nephew. He would have been 33 years old today, and God bless him. You know, I want to start off by saying if you are having troubles, you are depressed, you're an addict, you are someone who needs help, please remember, you have value, and you are worthy of life. If you need help, go get help. There's lots of 1-800 numbers on Google. We need you here. All right, that's my little tribute for tonight. That's why I wear this hat. It's my nephew's. All right, let's get to roll call. Race fan, gold medal position. We got Nightmare in the silver and Acreon with a bronze medal tonight. Michael Morris, Obi Flett, how y'all doing? Simon down in Australia. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio. To the left of the studio. And B, gorgeous Cosmic Floor, Mark Longoria, Third Rock, John Swan. How y'all doing? Thank you for being here. Awesome Ann Palmer, Terry Hall, lovely Linda Thompson. How are you? Thank you so much. The gorgeous Aunt Edna will be signing autographs after the show as well. Light up to the right of the studio, to the right of the studio. All right, Luscious Jules, nice to see you. Grand Paul Holland, Mr. Lurks-a-lot, good to have you here. JP Merrick, welcome to SOR Chat. We appreciate your time. Coming on in here, who else we got? We got Downshift. And we have, let's see here, we got to scroll way on down. The Magic Man, Black Dragon. Good to have you here, my friend. Thank you. We love our veterans around here, especially our former Marine, Black Dragon. And all you veterans, you're always safe right here in our chat room. Let's move on here, everyone, as we continue on with roll call. Who else we got? Oh, Dazzling Don Hendrickson has returned. There's Science Bob. And let's see, Carbine's right. Nice to have you early for once. And who else is here? Let's take a look here. 405er, nice to see you. Lovely Linda, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. Very much appreciate it. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. All right, Uncle Dale and his Power Stash are here. If you see Uncle Dale in Austin, Texas, rub his Power Stash for good luck right through tax time. All right, moving on here. Who else is joining us tonight? Well, let's see. There's Ozzy. Oi, oi to you. Ed Clater, always a pleasure to have you here. Val Rowe, good to have you back. And let's see here. We said Mennonite Abe. And Von Patrick, thank you for joining us. How are you tonight? And who else is joining? Oh, there he is, everyone. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived. All right, EMF, you're here. You're unbelievable. Oh, there we go. Thank you for coming on in. And Logan L., Glenn John McEnroe, the pride of Wimbledon. Nice to see you. Swan Man, nice to have you back. And who else is here? Marty Burback, how are you, my friend? QFOs, UFOs, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Gong Show, good to see you. Lars Janssen, the pride of IFK Tumba, wearing the number 36 in your program. Mr. Cowley, welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. Simon, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Really do appreciate that. Always love your support here, brother. All right, moving on. Noble Patrick, good to see you. And thank you, Science Bob, for that awesome super chat. Science Bob will also be in Vegas a week from now. Michael Huntington, how are you? Your goatee is nice and tight tonight. The lovely Lara, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Black Triangle, welcome. Good morning in Scotland. Good to have you here. George Hernandez, Dirty Filth, Sensational Sherry, nice to see you all. Donna Spencer, and welcome back. And we got like 30 seconds. Can we get this done? The lovely Jenny, welcome. JG Hartwell, good to see you. And who else is here? National Memorial Toe Tag. And Penman, good to have you here. Smokin' Joe, Alien Fervor, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. The gorgeous Lala B, and I'm running out of time. We're not going to finish it. Gorgeous Heidi will be at the Vegas party. Fapster, what's happening? Robert Garcia, horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Odyssey Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky-poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. Science Bob is here with special guest Nicole Sakach. We're going to talk about the ugliness of ufology going on right now from Lou Elizondo on down. Then, in hour number 3, we return to the swamp with our resident swamp dweller. And John, the fedora-wearing Hudson, will be back with the UFO report. Shirky-poo's got the news. All right, tonight, let's get ugly, shall we? Yeah. We've got some heavy stories to get into with Science Bob and friends. Dr. Bob McGwier is here, formerly of Virginia Tech University, to discuss a couple of hot-button topics. The hot news coming out of thedebrief.com and Tim McMillan, a great journalist, where a major firing at the Pentagon may have cleared some of the dirty air surrounding Luis Elizondo. And later on, the 1,500 pages of the Dirads report. Why are experiencers being laughed at by the UFO community again? Yeah, we are getting into it. Nicole Sakach is with us. Science Bob and friends. Let's get right into it. Dr. Bob McGwier, we absolutely love it when you are here, my bud. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's time to take names and kick some booty.
That's right. And we should mention that both of you will be at our Las Vegas event next weekend at the Golden Nugget. And I am so excited, Science Bob, to see you again. It's been a couple of years since we saw each other in San Francisco. And then, of course, the lovely Nicole Sakach. I promise you, I will have a giant bear hug for you, even though you hate hugs. But it's coming. You better be prepared. I may break some ribs there.
I'm ready. I'm prepared. I'll wear some padding. Just don't knock me off my high heels.
It won't help. We're going to crush you.
Don't knock me off my high heels. I
promise everybody listening that we're going to behave. Not.
No bloody way. No way whatsoever. All the fun aside, we are going to do what we normally do in Vegas. We are going to go feed the homeless. We're going to help the old ladies cover their bingo cards. And we're going to pass out Bibles on the strip just to make sure that those who feel they are sinning too much will be able to go home in better spirits. Let's just make it happen right now. Let's make it happen.
And let's go have a beer at the Little Alien Inn.
That's on the agenda. I'll pass out Bibles and like one of ufology's greatest books, like I don't know, Grant Cameron's Contact Modalities. That's or Aliens, Triangles, and Messages. Like I might pass those out instead of Bibles, but I'm down with this plan. Let's do this.
Absolutely.
I haven't been to Vegas in about 10 years, so this is going to be fun.
It's been 6 years for me, and I'm excited for our listeners. I'm excited for our panel of guests. You know who we have? I'm telling you right now, we have a better lineup than most conferences. And these are just people who are coming out. I'll keep it quiet. I've mentioned a few names. I will keep it quiet. But I'm telling you, if you want Bigfoot, we've got some of the greatest Sasquatch hunters coming down to play poker, and they want to hang out with our fans. We have some of the best people in ufology coming to hang out and talk UFOs and aliens and ET contact with each and every one of you coming on down. I am so pumped up for this. I just, it's on my mind 24/7 now. It's on my mind. I am officially on vacation mode. And I haven't even begun yet.
Oh yeah. Yep, cool. I'm taking the travel camper and going across the country starting on Friday to land in Vegas.
Oh yeah. Very much so.
I know your wonderful wife's coming with you, but are you bringing some form of, I mean, I know you're not bringing the monster telescope, but what are you bringing with you? I need to know how to pack appropriately.
I'm bringing an astrophotography mount for cameras, and I'm bringing the cameras you'll see me in the group with. They will take pictures of the stars in the New Mexico and Arizona deserts.
All right, I'm ready. Bring it on, Bob. I've been waiting to see all your toys for a while now. So,
yep,
I'm excited. Well, guys, let's flip gears here because I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people who are like, I am so jealous right now. But you know what? I'm going to make the call right now. Next May, we're going to do it a month later, but next May, we're doing it again in Las Vegas. We are. This is going to be, I've already started talks with the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas. And you know what? So everybody who can't go this year, you have 13 months to prepare, and we're going to make it a little bit bigger. We're going to make it a lot more fun, even though we don't know how much fun we're going to have yet. And it's just going to rock, and it's going to roll, and we want as many people down there as possible to rock out with us. And who knows, maybe if I give Bumblefoot like 13 months to book his date, maybe, just maybe, we'll get him to play. Maybe we will get our own private concert. But next year's going to be really even more special. You know why? Davey turns 50 next May.
Oh, wow.
50 next May. So, yeah. If everybody's like, geez, Vegas again? Yes, Vegas again, because I'm damn 50 next year. And it's my party, and I'll cry if I want to. All right, let's get into some science here because we got a ton of things to go over. Dr. Bob McGwier, there was a huge article regarding from the debrief.com and just a fantastic journalist, Tim McMillan, who's a good friend of this show. And I talked to Tim earlier today about coming on, but he is just way too over his head right now with the 2.5 years or a year and a half that it took him to break this story. But there was a firing at the Pentagon. It's all about sex. It's all about lies, but more importantly to our crowd, it's all about Luis Elizondo and UFOs.
It is indeed. So just let me tell you, it is not an insignificant piece of this that Danny Sheehan, representing Lou Elizondo, went in and raised hell with the Inspector General's office. And the official misconduct that this guy had with Lou Elizondo, threatening his clearance and all sorts of other stuff. I mean, it was just one of those last pieces they needed to chop this guy's block off. And so I know who this guy is. And I'm just, I don't mind saying that in 2020, at the end of a string of me talking about stuff out in the open, I suddenly saw that I was no longer able to be used on projects that would require my security clearance at DARPA. And pretty soon it just spread out from there. And guess who sat on the top of DARPA and other research entities like that in the Department of Defense? This jerk. So I pretty much figured out where it came from.
All right. So for people who may not know the person we're talking about, give us a breakdown of Jerry Reed.
Well, Jerry Reed he was the head of OUSDI, which is the group that Lou Elizondo was in when he ran OSAP and ATIP, and especially ATIP when OSAP was dwindling down and ATIP was taking over, all supported by Harry Reid, trying to get them special access and so forth. And that was the office where Lou worked. And so this guy knew Lou and tried to take stuff out on him. He wanted Lou to retract his resignation letter and come back into the fold rather than leak secrets.
Wow. I mean, this guy, he got busted. I mean, on the public end in the mainstream media, the UFO part is going to be like third on that list, Bob. It's number one for us.
Yeah, of course. The sexual stuff and the nasty office mentality and aura will be first, but it is not insignificant that UFOs were there.
So Luis Elizondo and Danny Sheehan, his lawyer, have been very, very much pushing for more transparency at the Pentagon, especially regarding Elizondo's career, which we know, and it has been proven, that the Pentagon was trying to wipe his files, much like a lot of people would say they did with Bob Lazar. And, they were trying to erase emails. They were trying to erase his employment, almost denying the fact that Lou may or may not have worked there in certain capacities. Bob, this is getting into a real ugly state when the government and the guy in charge is fired for, discrepancies, but let alone trying to erase someone.
So look, and Lou was really smart. He remembered all that. He remembered that happened. So he did a legal way of preserving all of that. So even if they wiped it out, he could walk into the IG and say, oh, they think I'm wiped out? No, here it is over here in this completely legal place for me to keep all this. And here you can see that they are illegally trying to screw me. He was brilliant.
Nicole, what's your thoughts on this?
I got to get one kind of lingering thought out of the way before we can dive into the rest of what I think is important in this conversation. And that's what you guys were starting to talk about, that in the lieu of this sex, lies, and Afghanistan section of this, like, you guys know I've often said I love ufology because it's going to save the world because of this intercrossing sections of spirituality and socio-political whatever that it is. And the thought that I just keep saying in my head since I read this article is ufology just saved all those women from an alleged hostile workplace. So maybe these women can now do their job to the capacity that they need to. And yes, they can bring forth a new era of how the DOD handles the UAP situation. Like, to me, this feels like the rugs are getting shaken out, like Lou Elizondo said they would. So it's the beginning. And
what we need to hope is Susan Goff doesn't get in the way, because she is still there.
Well, you know how one domino falls. I think this is the one domino. So
I hope. We need to hope.
Okay, so let's look at the UFO side of this, because look, we know there's troublesome stuff that the mainstream media is going to take on regarding the sexual allegations of harassment and affairs that Jerry Reed had. But for people who may not know who Jerry Reed is, Bob, what was his position and why is he so significant to the UFO front?
Okay, so that office is right up by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and it controls one of the things it controls is intelligence gathering by elements of the Pentagon, including these warfighting services. So he was right up there, way high, right up next to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of Defense. And so, and people just go look up what OUSDI means in Google, and you'll find out it's a very prominent position. This guy used to be Special Forces. He was a big-time player and in the active warfighting military, and those people have really high standing with all of people in the Pentagon if they've been a warfighter and then come back as a senior executive inside the Pentagon. So his rank inside the Pentagon as a civilian was higher than his rank when he left the active military. So he was getting up way up there, near general or admiral rank, and he was just important. And so the Joint Chiefs knew who he was. He was an important part. He answered to assistant secretaries for defense and deputy secretaries for defense. So he's just a big, important guy. And so that office controls special access programs.
Okay. Yeah. Like UFOs, obviously.
Yep.
Okay, so why did this gentleman, Jerry Reed, have a real dislike of Lou Elizondo?
I don't think they were ready for all this to come out. And Lou had helped engineer the revelations surrounding the Nimitz and the Teddy Roosevelt, and concert with Chris Mellon. And all of a sudden, he joined the rock star. And that meant he had left the farm. And people don't like people leaving the farm, even if they do it for reasons, because he announced to the Secretary of Defense, Jim Mattis, why he was leaving.
Can I ask this real quick, just to clarify for me even more? Because, okay, in this scenario, when we talk about special access programs and people having access to them, and who can grant access, and this term, the bottleneck, always happens. There's a bottleneck of information. So is this man the bottleneck, or is he the valve that controls this funnel that goes into one little tube? Is he that valve, or is he the one tube?
He is the controller. On the Special Access Program Committee, he is the leader.
So, gotcha.
So look, OUSDI. Just let me make sure people know that the OUSDI is the Office for the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. So intelligence gathering and counterintelligence operations and control of access to special access programs. It's just a really important office, especially for our area of interest.
Okay, so why does this guy know so much about UFOs? Did he run the program above Lou? Like, was that somebody who Lou answered to?
So Lou was in charge of ATIP. This guy ran the office that Lou was in.
Okay, so now I'm putting the puzzle pieces together. Being Canadian, it's a little bit, confusing for me in how everything kind of runs like that. But okay, so here he is. He gets busted for obviously finding his secretaries and assistants, each and every one of them a little hot and randy.
He got busted for closing the door and having a little fun.
Absolutely.
It was bad.
I'm just trying to play it nicely here.
Bad. Let's not be nice.
I'm not sure they were secretaries either. So let's not make any kind of make them sound like these were true underlings. Really,
no. There were higher ranking people even involved in these relationships.
Okay, screw it. It was just an orgy in his office at the Pentagon. All right, let's just call it what it was. And here he is, a man who has a lot of pull. He didn't like the fact that Lou Elizondo made UFOs very public. This is a man who's been a real thorn in the side of the UFO community, because the one thing that a lot of people had asked for, Bob, was we needed to know these names. We needed to know, outside of Susan Goff, who else was there that was trying to destroy the entire knowledge of UFOs and put it right back under the carpet where they felt it belonged.
Yep. Well, now we know part of it, and we know what a bad actor he was. And now this is kind of a klaxon sounding out over the Pentagon. Look, I promise you, Tim McMillan has stirred a massive pot with this article. I mean, the bells are ringing all around the 5 rings of the Pentagon.
Dave, I want to make one little minor adjustment to how you just laid that all out.
Sure.
It sounds to me, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, according to this article, it sounds to me like Reed was mad because he didn't know anything about the program Lou was running, or he wasn't in charge of it. And when he resigned, that's when Lou was like, no, I'm not going to come in and talk to you about this. I'm still resigning. And then that's when the switch flipped and he was like, I'm coming to get you. There's something in there where Lou already knew he couldn't trust this man to bring him into ATIP, now ATIP OSAP. So
look, Harry Reid had gone around the system to help Lou do his thing, and this guy was pissed.
Reed, like a good evil fucking showdown. Sorry.
So the Senate leader, Harry Reid, pulled in 2 buddies, and they funded OSAP and let ATIP run. With a little funding, they pulled out of their back pocket, because these guys have little pots that they can direct where they want. But this is legal. This is not illegal direction. This is legal direction. And you can read about some of this in Lukatsky and George's book, A Skinwalker Ranch at the Pentagon. So some of the details are in there. But look, Reed had gone around the system. Lou was in that office. And this guy probably was not in the loop and was angry.
Evil Reed. Good
yes,
Reed.
Evil Reed. Evil Reed was mad at Good Reed and Lou.
Politics.
Always.
As we got about 1 minute to go here before we go to break here at the bottom of the hour, Science Bob and Nicole Sakach are here. Does this mean more dominoes are going to fall? We may have to carry this over to the neck through the break here, Bob.
Sure. I believe more dominoes will fall. I believe that people will be running back to their hidey holes, and probably things will start running out of the way. And I believe that the activist members of Congress are about to swing some sledgehammer. If you think Senator Gillibrand is going to let this masher in the Pentagon get away with murder and not crack some heads, you're wrong. Senator Gillibrand is kicking butt, and so are Rubio with her and several people in the House. They're just not going to take this crap.
Actions speak louder than words. We'll have to see how long this actually takes before it goes on. And we will continue the conversation on Science Bob and Friends on how this affects ufology. And we will go deep into that in the next half hour as Science Bob comes in once a month to talk about the who, what, where, when, why, and how of all things paranormal, supernatural, and ufological. Usually we throw the woo away, but tonight, later on in the show, we are going to get into a little bit of woo, because the UFO community always seems to throw eggs at the experiencers. Nicole Sakach is here with Science Bob, and we will continue on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Stay tuned. Holy cow, Nicole, dropping a Dropping an F.
Dude,
Holy
I know,
cow.
right? Okay.
Just like bang.
The
Holy
Rock's tiny man panties made me drop my first F-bomb on SOR, and now good read, bad read. Like, I'm sorry. I just couldn't control myself.
And we love you for it.
Honestly, it's my chef potty mouth.
Oh, yeah. We get it.
Totally.
By the way,
you did not want to listen to the conversation that Nicole and I had. You'd have heard so many 4-letter words, it would have been funny.
Well, you know what? We do have a brand new Science Bob shirt in our store right now.
Ooh.
Yes, we do. You can go get your Science Bob swag right now at spacedoutradio.com. And you know what? I'm pretty happy with this one.
I will be modeling it in Las Vegas.
Did you buy one?
I already have my Einstein suit prepared, and under it will be the Science Bob t-shirt.
Did you actually get yourself one? Because
I know you're bringing one, but I will get one. Believe me. One is not enough. One is not enough. Just like potato chips and Oreos.
Bob, I'm so glad I'm not the only one planning Vegas outfits.
There's the Science Bob shirt right there.
Nice.
Yep. He loves his space. Couple of UFOs there with a satellite that has Science Bob's name on it. Yep.
The 12th one with my name on it went up 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Very nice.
Hey, can I give some shout outs in YouTube and say hi to everybody? Hi,
everybody. You do that.
I saw Dirty Filth was in the crowd. I always love it when he's in there. And Christina Gomez dropped a tidbit.
Dirty Filth said all this fantastic art. He brings tears to my eyes with all that fantastic stuff. And they are prominently displayed in my library. I'm going to make them into a montage and hang it on the wall of my library so we can pay tribute to Filth.
Well, you know what he is also doing is he is creating a one-time, one-only piece of art for the conference. Well, for the get-together in Vegas.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he will be doing quick drawings for people who are there. Yeah. Yeah. And he will also be signing autographs to the left of the roulette table. To the left of the roulette table.
There we go.
Now I got to bring the octopus with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about.
And just watch out if I catch anybody eating one of those veggie burgers. You've been warned. Just saying.
Yeah. You got that right. Oh, by the way, I got to pick up tomorrow. I've got, as part of our swag giveaway to the audience, I've got to pick up special beanies I had made.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not what I know.
Toques for us Canadians. Toques for us Canadians. And beanies for you American people.
Well, I hope it's big enough to cover my chrome dome.
Bob, if I can wrap one around my head, you could wrap one around yours.
There we go.
Yeah.
Beanies doesn't cover all of that, though, because like here in the Midwest, we just call them stocking caps. Like, what's the Canadian word?
Toques.
That one's all right. My favorite toque picture on the planet, though, honestly, is Grant Cameron on a horse wearing a toque. He looks like a cowboy wearing a toque. Like, I can't reconcile that picture.
Grant on a horse, I can't reconcile.
Hey, it was when they went back and revisited the Charlie Red Star location at anniversary. Some of the parts are now only accessible by Giddy Up.
Grant has been on friggin' fire in the last few weeks. He is really burning the candle. Wow, is he hot.
I know. I can't even sit in with him with as much as he's doing because I have the day job.
You do have a few restaurants to run, don't you?
Just the one, thank God. Just the one.
All right. So we got about 30 seconds. Big thank you to lovely Linda Thompson, Simon, Bob, Samantha, Cat Chaser, and Christina for the amazing super chats. Really do appreciate the love and support. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. In my office right now, I got swag hats, swag magnets, swag stickers, and swag beard oil.
Ooh.
Here we go.
That's it.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for checking us on out and hanging on out. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky-poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Author and researcher Nicole Sakach is our special guest tonight on Science Bob and Friends with Dr. Bob McGwier, as we are checking on out some of the ugliness around the UFO world in recent days, including today with a big article by Tim McMillan, journalist for thedebrief.org, and he put out a scathing article about a gentleman named Jerry Reed out of the Pentagon who was, it's all about sex, it's all about lies, and UFOs. Science Bob, Nicole, welcome back.
Woohoo, let's do it.
So glad to be here.
And if we can get Nicole to behave, we might even make it through it.
You got that right.
Running on fumes, you guys. This is what you get.
Well, I want to get to this out there because there is a lot of controversy still around Luis Elizondo, Science Bob, on whether he's PSYOP, whether he is someone who is legit, whether he has the best interest of UFOs in the community, or whether he's a government shill. And there has been a giant debate over the last couple of years regarding this. I have personally had my eyes opened and my opinion changed of the man since when he was with To the Stars Academy. Do I fully trust him? Well, he's a spook just like you. I can't trust you fully, Science Bob. You know how it
It's all true.
Exactly. But
I mean, I even have friends that call me a ninja. Can you even believe it?
They need to look up the definition of a ninja. But yeah.
But the idea behind this of what happened with Jerry Reed being fired, his dislike of Lou Elizondo going public with UFOs and trying to discredit the man, how much more does this add to the legend of Lou Elizondo, Bob?
It's going to add, but there is going to be a wringing down of the horrible trash that needs to be carried out and burned in the backyard in the deepest hole we can in ufology. It is just awful what this man and his family have been subjected to. And it's time to get on past it and realize that this guy is, so far as we can tell, precisely what he said he is.
Okay, so without trying to put Elizondo on a pedestal, because there is a giant portion of UFO Twitter and ufology that has him, honoring him as a demigod of sorts. And I know
he's a human being.
Well, I understand that, but what I'm saying though is Elizondo doesn't like that feeling. He has told me that himself. Okay, yeah. But the point that I'm getting at is we have one faction of the UFO world that thinks that Elizondo is the greatest thing since George Washington, becoming the first president of the United States of America. And you have the other faction out there who are completely into not only destroying his credibility or destroying who he is, but believing that he is the worst thing that's ever happened to ufology. Where do you stand on this, Bob? Not only from, now that you're in ufology, but from a spook's point of view and an alphabet agency guy, how do we know that we can trust what Elizondo is saying for the betterment of ufology?
Okay, so whatever claims have been made about official positions, you need to point out to me where that is wrong if you want to knock his credibility down. Now, Lou has gone out and been a human being, and he has his own personal opinions about things. And he is somewhat frustrated that even with Senator Reid's backing, he could not have his effort gain access to all he needed to have access to in order to fulfill what he felt was his obligations and duties. And he has seen reports of things that are deeply troubling to anyone who is a counterintelligence officer, things interacting with and interfering with and potentially dangerous to the warfighters that act on behalf of our government and the bases and restricted airspaces that they regularly had an incursion on. That is the counterintelligence officer's job. What are they doing there? Lou had those jobs. And so far, I have not found any place where he has made a checkable claim that has been checked wrong. So I just believe the guy saw a lot of stuff, and he's trying to get Congress to act so that our warfighters and our assets are protected.
Nicole, your opinion?
Can you remind me of the actual question so I can focus a bunch of my thoughts?
Not a problem.
Okay.
Not a problem. Okay, the question was this: in regards to Lou Elizondo, he's still quite a polarizing figure within ufology. There is the loudmouths on the one side who are saying he's the greatest thing since light spread. There's the ones on the other side who say, damn you, you evil UFO spirit, go back to the UFO hell you came from. And then there are the people in the middle who, just want to know what's going on and look to him just as they would any one of us. Does this continue to add strength to the legend of Elizondo that he is not trying to play games?
I don't know if it adds to him being a legend or not, if it will in the long run of his anthology. But what sticks out to me with this is we have seen this pattern, and he's told us about this pattern, and we see it in our community as experiencers. And granted, Lou isn't talking about an experience that he's come forward on. It's the evidence that he supports, that makes this claim. But he's feeling the same backlash that experiencers do. When they come out, what happens to them? They get the disinformation. They get slandered. They get discredited. They get shredded. We've seen this routine. So now maybe with him getting this sort of validation, he's lucky to have the resources that he had available in order to clear his name. People like me, people like Travis Walton, people like Jim Peniston, people like etc. don't have that luxury. So yeah, he can take this moment and he can probably see light at the end of the tunnel going, I've done my job. This is happening. I've removed this obstacle. So now somebody else can carry the ball and he can exit, or he can choose to use this to help experiencers. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Bob,
it's a win for us in many different ways. many different ways. But at the core, like, if he's going to have a legend, this epic part of ufology that lasts decades and is enduring, that's more of a legacy than this one moment and one thing that he saw through and it broke it open. Like, that will be forgotten within time. It's like Kenneth Arnold. He'll like be known for that and then disappear. Like,
so look, there are very few people in and around the United States government that can say, I was to a great degree responsible for the National Defense Authorization Act, authored by Senator Gillibrand, Rubio, and members of the House of Representatives, now encapsulated into the president's budget, which will now run that office and have all the deliverables the NDAA mandated, and some accentuation in the actual budget bill. So Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon changed our world by having Congress act. No one else did that. And to tell you what kind of person Lou is, go listen to him talk about that. He is exceedingly humble. He does not take credit. He gives the credit to others. And that is the kind of person Lou Elizondo is, even though he and Chris Mellon had a lot to do with all of that. Because what Lou did was go out and reassure the combatant people, the officers in the Air Force and the Navy, etc., who came in and talked to Congress that it was safe for them to do so. Okay.
I also, for some reason, just keep thinking of Thomas Jefferson. Does he want to be known for just writing the Declaration of Independence, or does Lou Elizondo want to be known for all this other cool stuff that he does too? In the long run, it's the Declaration, but we all know Thomas Jefferson did a whole lot more.
Oh yeah, big time.
So that's, Lou has to stand the test of time to keep ringing true and dropping the breadcrumbs and keep moving it forward. If he wants an out, he's got an out, It's on him.
And I wouldn't. So I watched him on Kurt, Theory of Everything, and he and Sean Cahill were on there. And I don't know whether they still believe and think they're going to go the path that they clearly indicated with Kurt on Theory of Everything. But what they spoke to was now being within end game, that they are tired of ufology and they're ready to move on. And who can blame them? I mean, I don't blame them.
They better pull a Bill Moore then and learn how to disappear for 30 years, because people will, they won't be left alone. So, sorry guys, I'll leave you alone.
No, but I mean, look, the debate is going to continue. I mean, there are people who look at Elizondo the same way they look at Rick Doty, who's a controversial figure in ufology. There's going to be people who say that he is the bastard news of everything that is wrong with ufology coming out of Washington, D.C., that we cannot believe a thing. Yeah, he may have given us some grainy videos, but we still can't tell what they are and what they're all about. I mean, look, there is a lot of information this man has dropped and then kind of stopped. It's kind of like a preview for a movie that never seems to come out for a lot of people, Bob.
Yeah, well, so look, persons like Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon and me and others who have worked for the United States government, they have signed oaths and non-disclosure agreements, and they simply cannot cross certain lines. And so, look, I'm kind of sick of ufology in a way, because they all want the government to tell something, and when people in the government tell something, they flush them down a toilet. Well, the hell with them.
I think the biggest problem is people not really understanding how long it takes to be able to discuss something and talk about it. Like, I mean, this is the longest patience endurance race ever. It honestly is. This field is. You have to be like Grant Cameron and George Knapp, and I'll name a million other people later, but the 45 years are years. That's what I'm starting to call them. Like, people that have been in it that long can speak to this wave and pattern of what's going on. So
people need to learn what delayed gratification means. It means have the patience to wait on stuff so it can happen in an orderly fashion. No matter how impatient you are, you have to wait for the system to react.
Exactly. Like, you can't change manufacturing overnight.
No.
And it's not like Elizondo could come out and say, even in his personal life, hey, I'm an experiencer, if he is. He can't come out and say many of the things he wants, not only because of his own NDAs, but because in order for him to keep his momentum up in Washington, D.C., he does have to keep the experiential side away from everything. Although in the next hour, we will be talking about the idea of the Dirads paperworks and the experiencers that were, really chastised by many in the UFO community, that it was even studied. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But do you think, Bob, as we talk Elizondo, because he did speak on Fox News about the experiencers, do you think that maybe we are getting closer to having more big names out of the Pentagon coming out about their experiences?
So given the kind of stuff that's come out and the talk that's going on, everybody talked about phase 1, 2, 3, etc. I believe some of those phases have developed a wormhole, and we're going all the way through to some of them. It just feels like things are a door was open and more went through the door at an earlier time than has been intended. And so that's what it feels like to me, because this doesn't feel like a controlled and orderly progression of things that are happening. And I just think stuff is coming out faster, and it was almost inevitable. And if you look at the statistics that are put out by people like Bud Hopkins, John Mack, and a bunch of other people who have done scientific studies of experiencers, the Pentagon and the intelligence community has to be littered full of experiencers, littered full, and you just cannot keep them in a box.
No, and I want to focus more on the experiential side when we get back from the break in about a few minutes' time here. But going on towards the Elizondo side of things, could we see other people coming out like Jim Semivan did as experiencers now that it is out in the open? Because I think if Elizondo did come out as an experiencer, I don't think it would go well. I really don't. I don't think that his name should be tied to it.
Well, the way he's being trashed now for trying to get reasonable stuff done in Congress by organizing military witnesses to come in and talk to Congress and getting bills passed, I think that it might hurt his ability to finish his work. So I believe he will not come out and say anything about it being an experiencer until he is retired from this operation.
Nicole, your thoughts?
I agree with it to a certain extent, but it's that agreement that also infuriates me, because I know it's like all the activism and the legislation and the people that make these things happen, but behind that is always an experiencer. So if you play the whole, I'm not going to come out, I am going to come out, I'm not going to come out, it's going to be bad if I do. Think of one person that you have ever encouraged to come out. That's like something you got to do on your own. Like nobody's going to force you or make you, because we all know the backlash. When we decide that we're going to do this, it's a constant nag that we know we're going to get it. Somebody's going to not believe us. Somebody's going to shred it. Somebody's going to do whatever. And that's part of the deal. So this is part of the deal now. Like, I know we'll continue this more in the next hour. So I don't know what did he really think he was in for with this? I mean, I'd like to think he had like the 10-year plan going on, but it's sounding like the clog was removed from this funnel. And it's like Bob said, it's all coming out now faster than you thought, because that's what happens when you unclog a bottleneck. So yeah. It can be messy, though. That's where Lou's at right now. He's like holding the funnel. You either get this shit all over you, or you move it out of the way and, somebody else gets to clean up the mess. So there you go. That's my chef analysis for the night.
And strike 2 for Nicole tonight on Spaced Out Radio.
You got one? I don't know.
Yes, yeah. Unfortunately, you cannot use the S word on.
I swear I hear that on like.
No, serious.
Well, you can hear it on Howard Stern, but you're not going to hear it on FM radio.
I get that. I still thought that was one that could slide in. Like if you say it once in 2 hours, it's okay.
Yeah. The FCC and the CRTC just have not grown up yet to the S word. They just have not. So we got 3 minutes to go before we got to go to break here at the top of the hour. Science Bob and friends with the stunning and potty mouth Nicole Sakach here tonight. Offending all of us with everything that they say, especially that darn Nicole. But, as we start to shift gears here, we start going into the more experiencer side of things. And this is now starting to be taken seriously. Bob, I want to start with a real easy question for you. How stunned were you when the Dirads report came out and a number of media outlets actually jumped on the idea that experiencers were in that report?
So, again, we don't know all the details, but it was kind of exciting, as you recall me calling you or you calling me on the phone and us talking about it, that one of these reports talked about women being taken and impregnated by the ETs. I mean, come on. What can I tell you? I mean, that was shocking, to say the least.
Oh, I agree with you. And the idea that they were absolutely looking into this, which we will get into, I'm still stunned over it. And if the war in the Ukraine wasn't going on, if we weren't still hot to trot over, the whole COVID thing, I think this would have been a front page news story. I really do. It is that wacky.
It was a headline and a 5-minute segment on Tucker Carlson, and that's the only one I can find.
There were a number of other outlets that had covered it as well. And not so much the newspapers, because they're too good for us. All right. The newspaper, let's just face it. There's an attitude that goes around with print that, UFOs are just beneath them. Even the New York Times. Remember, there was no follow-up article to the New York Times story back in 2017. UFOs are beneath them. Them UFO people, like all of us listening here tonight, are, we're just covered in tinfoil, and our opinion doesn't matter. There's no brains here. There's no smarts. And I hate to tell you, but that's how the media works. All right. And the idea that this is now going to be a hot topic, Nicole, I know you have a lot to say on this. We got an hour scheduled for the idea of the experiencers coming through. Not only was it good for ufology, but it also showed an uglier side to it, where people are literally attacking everything to do with experiencers, everything, making fun of them, saying that they are liars, they are cheats, they're trying to get their name into 15 minutes of fame, whether it's Chris Bledsoe, whether it's others who have come forward with some incredible anecdotal stories. And we're going to get into it next on Spaced Out Radio. Dr. Bob McGwier, author, researcher, potty mouth, Nicole Sakach, on Science Bob and Friends, as we continue on with Hour 2 next on the Mighty SOR. You are so bad.
Two in each.
Two.
When was the Rock Man Panty Night? That was like 2 years ago now. So I've just had 2 years to make up for it. Not again.
I love it. But you're this close to the hat trick. You might as well slip in another one.
No. I'm ashamed. My son might hear these someday.
Oh,
yeah, right. He'll be like, oh, I never knew my mom had such a potty mouth. I thought it was my nana. Joke. Sorry, Mom. You don't really cuss.
That is awesome.
Occasionally, my mom tunes in. I've learned this now. So thanks for the love and support, Mom.
Well, my favorite psychic tells me that my mom's tuning in and listening to me, so I better try to behave.
Hey, I told you your mom joined the mothership, right? Like that's on the mothership.
Yes.
I know it's been rough, Bob. I'm glad you're in a good place now, though. You know.
Oh yeah, my brothers and I, we've helped each other, and we are a whole lot better, and we are planning her send off for Saturday.
Celebration of lifetime. That's it. That's a lot of life.
Grabbing some family, hugging some kin folks, and then I'll head straight from there to Lost Wages.
For some no sinning in Sin City.
No, whatever happens there stays there.
Mm-hmm. Not really anymore with
no, of course
media,
not. But never mind. We all tell ourselves that fiction. I think there'll be way too many cameras for us to keep much secrets.
Right? I'm like, do I bring 2? Do I bring 3? Is 3 enough? Do I just bring 1? Like,
oh yeah, I'm bringing the nice stuff so I can get some good ones.
Is Melinda bringing her gear too?
I only know that Melinda is coming. That's all I know.
Right.
And I was going to stop in Sedona, Arizona, and spend time with Melinda, but the changing schedule, which was out of my control, has put that in danger of not being able to be done before I go to Las Vegas.
Right. Like that can happen though. I still want to make it out to one of Melinda's sky watches, and
oh my goodness gracious!
I don't know, maybe I'll sleep on a couch.
None of that. Treat yourself to some of her classes.
Right.
So
yeah.
I've talked to a few people that go, when I went in there, I didn't believe in the spoon bending crap, but after I left, I was bending spoons.
Yeah. You know who's kind of closer to me, but I think equally as awesome as Melinda is Margie Kay that works out of Kansas City. You need to look into her because she's also done a lot of time with helping police forces with her abilities. Like, I think she is a powerhouse in the Midwest for research, and like a lot of ladies, she's just not well known in the broad community, although she's right under everybody's noses. She's been doing this forever.
I think our new weekend host, Jessica Jones, her remote viewing and all the other stuff she does, she is going to have a bigger impact in the coming years, to the point where, because she's my neighbor right across the right across the river, I'm going to go and do stuff with her group.
That's going to be awesome. You know, I've had a couple chats with her. Was she on the panel? Were you on that panel with her?
Yeah. That's where I got to know. That's where I got to know.
Yeah, I just adore her. Like she told me that Sasquatch have like a version of light language. I didn't know Sasquatch had a like language like that. Honestly, all you hear is squatch calls. Like, floored.
And one of the most impressive things about the group she is in is how technical they are.
Right.
Very, very technical. And so it just sounds like a great fit. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but it has to wait until I come back from the West.
I saw Jessica in the chat earlier. So Jessica, if you're still in there, you go, girl.
Go for it, Jessica.
All aboard the woo train.
All aboard the woo.
That's me and her's inside joke. Yeah, it's our joke. She knows what I mean. Right, Dave?
Who's that?
Jessica Jones knows what I mean when I
Apparently
say.
she plans. Apparently, Jessica Jones, who hasn't booked her ticket for Vegas yet, plans on being very, very dangerous at the Golden Nugget.
Okay. We would love to see Jessica Jones there and shake her hand and talk about plans.
Absolutely. We've got about 45 seconds, guys. Is there going to be a Skywatch in Vegas? Maybe on the Sunday night.
That'd be cool.
That might be something that somebody can talk everybody into doing, you know, like this is kind of has moments of up in the air of what can we all get into.
So about 2 seconds away from the little alien inn is lots of dark skies.
Absolutely. I want to say a big thank you to Linda, Simon, Bob, Samantha, Cat Chaser, Christina, Thomas, and Amy for the amazing super chats. Remember, you can get all your SOR swag on our website. Go to shop on our website, spacedoutradio.com. And thank you to all the veterans out there who are tuning us in. Here is our 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Odyssey Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Gabel. Gabel is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky-poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Science Bob and Friends is a monthly feature here where Dr. Bob McGwier, formerly of Virginia Tech University, comes on in to talk about the who, what, where, when, why, and how of everything paranormal, supernatural, and ufological. Tonight, we are joined by Dr. McGwier and our special guest, author and researcher Nicole Sakach, and we're going to get into the experiential side of everything here because in the 1,500 pages that were released a week and a half ago on a FOIA request from the what they called it DIRDS, and Bob, I'll get you to explain DIRDS after this if you don't mind. What it is there is a special section that was caught by the media on this about experiencers, experiencers who had symptoms of health problems and even healing courtesy of close encounters with UFOs. Everything from unwanted pregnancies to concussion-like syndromes, PTSD, runny noses with bloody noses, that is, headaches, marks on their bodies, everything. Bob, first of all, what is DIRDS for the people who may not know? And number 2, Why is this very significant that it actually slipped out? Because the people I talked to about this when this came out, you were one of them, and I talked to some people who were very much in the know. They were stunned that that was part of the report that was released.
Yeah, so again, this is evidence I have that the timeline for things to come out has changed, even though people who were involved in setting that timeline were involved. Okay, so look, the Defense Intelligence Agency, with the help of Harry Reid, funded the Bob Bigelow work on OSAP and then the follow-on stuff with ATIP. When the Defense Intelligence Agency empowers scientific and engineering or speculative research to go on, the scientific, engineering, etc. reports are called Defense Intelligence Reference Documents. So a DIRD was a volume of these Defense Intelligence Reference Documents were put together under contract by BASS, the Bigelow Aerospace Initiative that ran OSAP, to be a foundation of technical documents from which future work could be planned. So this is like a bunch of scientists and engineers got together. They were told, hey, give us an encyclopedia that can guide our work into the future. And those are put together, and each individual element is a DIRD, a Defense Intelligence Reference Document.
Okay.
So,
Nicole.
this DIRD, we know, comes from Bigelow working for Reid, not under BASS, but as OSAP.
So
Yes.
I'm sorry. No. Bigelow, operating as BASS, won the OSAP contract.
Got you. So this DIRD is from OSAP?
Yes, it is
Okay.
a part of the official work of OSAP.
Because I know there's also part of this discussion is Bigelow bought MUFON. And so there's this discrepancy of, did Bigelow buy it as BASS or OSAP?
Okay, so it is my belief, and this again, I want to emphasize, this is my belief that the money used to pay MUFON for their evidence, which was sent to BASS, came from OSAP.
Which you're not alone in that opinion. Like,
right.
This is where there's a division of thinking. Like,
well, look, you can imagine the screams of angst coming from inside MUFON at not being told the real truth.
Well, and I think the latest voice of that has been James Karyn.
Yes,
whether or not he did it in a correct, right way, like his voice was heard, or his concerns were made known. There still really isn't very much clarification on that, on whether or not it was truly like a dirty deal, or if it went down how it had to go down because of NDAs and OSAP and everything.
Yes, I am sure that BASS was not allowed under their security guidelines, which are part of every classified contract. The security guidelines under that contract, put in place by Dr. Lukatsky when he was running the contract for the DIA, imposed on BASS restrictions on what they could say to MUFON. I'm sure of that, because that's how it works.
Right. So to just skip over that, because that's minute in this anthology, but it does make me feel good that our good guys in this government fighting the good fight were collecting data from real researchers, whether you have a problem with MUFON or not. That's what I'm saying. That I feel that data is solid. whether they gave up personal information or whatever, blah, 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 blah. So this also is making me kick this to this like Twitterverse conversation going on about the DIRDs being bad information, or this section of this DIRD being bad information, because this information, when you source it, comes from tabloids and UFO magazines, and that's a double-edged sword as well. Like, we know the history of ufology and tabloids, and we know the history of misinformation, purpose misinformation being used through, tabloids being used for that. Like,
except the thing that was happening with tabloids back when under the programs, which CIA and others did, they would put real information into the tabloids to make anybody that talked about it look like a fool.
Exactly. This kicks it back to the loose side of this, where the disinformation, the slander, and everything, like, it's built into this. So I get edgy with the tabloids because I have talked to enough people, and I know kind of the history of how tabloids became popular and when they were at their biggest, and that kind of impact they had on media. It wasn't a welcome impact, but
the number one national reporter on UFOs over the entire country worked at the National Enquirer and was helped by CIA and others to put things in.
Well, I mean, honestly, that wasn't just newspapers or the Enquirer. Like, this sticks with the Roswell case and what happened to that television, media, radio studio there. I mean, we've seen this scenario. Like, we've heard that there's operatives in every UFO group, or there was back in the day. And now there's one in every media room.
Yeah, when AFOSI was extremely active, they had people in every UFO group, along with the FBI, because they wanted to be part of the show.
So let me step this back a second. So we have this DIRDs. The information pertaining to the experiencers is such a, like, what? It's a page or 2 pages. It's like so minute in the 1,500 pages of this anthology. And now we got it being said that the data collected, released in this DIRD, comes from tabloids and UFO magazines and maybe bought MUFON material. Okay. I like to preface this just a little bit, my next comment, with, how many experiencers Grant and I talk to.
Yep.
And that's just me with him. He talks to ×3 that without me. Well, people that follow along and see how Grant posts videos, like, we don't do this editing and try to make it all fancy and do all this stuff. A lot of times you catch us talking before or afterwards. We haven't cut camera, or we haven't, not everybody's joined. Like, this comes up so much, this scenario where we talk to people and we always slip it in. So who from the government has talked to you? Has anybody officially from any kind of government entity ever spoken with you? And we dabble in this realm of, like, we know Kit Green has talked to experiencers. Do we necessarily know about what? No. We know Eric Davis has talked to experiencers. We know Gary Nolan has talked to experiencers. We know Jacques Vallée has. We know all these people. Where is the government going to, like, civilian researchers and, like, free, and the work Ray Hernandez does and the work that Opus does and Les Velez? Like, what's wrong with their data?
I have no idea what the restrictions are on who they're willing to get data from. And Edgar Mitchell and Hernandez and Bob Davis and those people who were involved in the early collection and then analysis of the data from free, they are professional people. And I am certain that that data can be useful. Now, the thing that you would want to do is, based on some kind of accounting, some kind of analysis, say what percentage of that data you are willing to reject for whatever reasons, and then you accept the rest of it. And if you do that, you're going to have a kernel of awesome stuff.
Doesn't this fall down to the 5% rule? Like
well,
the
5%? Even if it's 5%, if it's 5% of 100,000, guess what? That's 5,000 real cases.
Okay. To hammer home my point, Grant talks to thousands of experiencers. There's 2 that I know of that have said somebody officially from the government has come and talked to them. 2. So they're not, who are they studying and where and why? Because they are honestly all being very quiet.
Yeah.
So,
or if you happen to live in Sedona, Arizona, they might have abducted you to talk to you.
Kit Green won't make any comments to that.
Yeah, but Jim Simivan has asked our pal in Sedona to
Jacques Vallée comments on that.
About it.
Jacques Vallée comments on that. Has a nice piece of paper that supports it.
Yep.
It's all fine and dandy that it happens down in South America, but golly gee, doesn't happen here in the States.
Well, I'm going to hop in here if you don't mind, because I've been quiet for quite a bit, and sometimes I like.
Sorry, Dave.
That's okay. That's okay. You guys, I love it when you guys chat, because when you get on a roll like that, it's so full of information. But I want to get into the personal side of this. Okay, we've explained very heavily how it worked, how the information came out. But one thing that I thought was very, very unprofessional by a lot of people, especially some blue check marks on UFO Twitter, who are absolutely laughing at experiencers and the experiencers the experiences that they have gone through, to the point where I actually sent out a tweet the other day that basically says, if you haven't had an experience, you shouldn't be speaking for experiencers. And a lot of people kind of, I got a lot of retweets on that, because here we have a community where a lot of the researchers, I would say well more than 60% of the researchers, have never even seen a UFO, let alone had an experience. Yet here they are, absolutely protesting against anything that an experiencer has gone through, whether it's the false pregnancies, whether it's waking up with bleeding noses, whether it's waking up with scoop marks, whether it's, trauma of nightmarish dreams of aliens doing surgeries on them. I mean, there is a lot that everything goes through, that a person goes through when they have these experiences, Nicole. And I was dumbfounded that these are the people who originally started ufology were the experiencers coming out, and their anecdotal stories, and all of our stories are anecdotal, but to crap on them, to make fun of them, I thought was very unprofessional by many people within the community.
Well, every time we make an advance forward, we get a big push back down, not a step backwards. It's like the bully on the playground comes and smashes us into the rocks. At its base level, I see this reflected a lot in ufology. And I'm not going to call out a show or name names, but when there's a panel discussion, clinking beers and celebrating, chatting about experiencer stuff, it flips my stomach and makes me want to puke, because don't any of them realize that for years experiencers were called drunks and rebels and don't take us seriously? And, that was an avenue that people used to discredit us. So sure, clink your drinks and go on talking about ufology because it's getting it done. And this is that vein I feel with like the Twitter stuff I saw going on, because I have never liked the stance like you just said. And our friend Lorian Fenton has taken it a lot over the years. She has been that one saying, you're not an experience, shut your face hole. Like, you don't talk about this if you don't know what you're talking about. Like, and now I'm seeing glimmers of that, because when we should be celebrating these people in our community, there's always this backlash of disgust. Like, seriously, it's like biting the hand that feeds you. Like, experiencers drive this community, and if you can't support them, then just get out of the way. Like, I really don't care if you've had an experience. If you want to support the cause, support the cause. If you don't want to do it and you're just in this to tell people they're loons and phonies and they don't, then shove off, go play chess, find something else to do. Like,
I want to get to this comment by Thirsty Alien because I think this is a perfect comment, Bob. If there is no hard evidence for UFOs, then people will always bash experiencers. One day it'll change. We can only hope, Bob.
Yeah, well, so look, just as a hard nose, nuts and bolts, metal bending scientist and engineer, I understand how people might be doubtful of these anecdotal reports. Of course, I was doubtful until I had my own experiences, and then I stopped being doubtful. So now I'm going, how the heck do I explain this in a way that is consumable by people that used to be and are still like I used to be? And it's just difficult to figure it out. So I would not post anecdote in a scientific paper. And people who write scientific papers should not trash people because they've had an experience. They should emulate John Mack and figure out how to collect evidence to find the common themes and see if something can be learned out of the common stuff that's in their experiences. There are ways to do this reasonably, but trashing people, calling them nuts, wanting to put them on drugs is not exactly helpful.
Well, the one word, as we got about 2.5 minutes left here, that is driving me nuts, and I see a lot more podcasters using it, is the word liar. That every experiencer is a liar. I realize that the human mind does forget things. It does not remember or misremembers events as it happens. It's a very good sci-fi film in each one of our brains. But the idea that we are calling all experiencers liars because we don't have photographic evidence, because we don't have video evidence, because you have to take us on our word, I think is absolutely ridiculous. It is hard for the community. I've been called a liar personally about my own experiences. People don't want this, Bob. 90 seconds, man.
I think they're afraid. They don't know what to make of it. They're scared it could be something bad, or they believe it's demons, or whatever. People have motives, and they're looking for confirmation of their biases in everything they see. And so experiencers trouble them. And we just so what I think, if those of us who are more reasonable need to go out of our way to embrace experiencers and tell them they are valuable and they are people and they should stop being trashed, and we should defend them. Not because we believe every word they say, because the human memory is fallible. But we want to stop people from calling them names and treating them as less than human.
Well, a lot of them will say, isn't that what sock puppet accounts are for? Hide yourself or don't tell your story. If you're that afraid of being questioned, or you're that afraid of taking a little bit of ribbing over it, why come out publicly?
Hey, what can I say? Not everybody has as strong an ego as you and Nicole and I do.
It's not easy. It's not easy. Over the last 5 years, I quake every time I'm on your show or in public. I'm like, is this going to be the moment where I can't take the abuse, that kind of thing.
Let's go to break. We're going to continue this conversation about abuse of experiencers in the UFO community. It's happening a lot more than what we think. And I know it's hard to understand. Really, shouldn't you be embarrassed saying you've seen UFOs? Well, to those of us who have, it's very, very real. And we want answers just like you. Spaced Out Radio with Science Bob and Friends continues right after this. All right, guys, we're clear.
Yeah.
Boy, we cleared Bob right out. Look at that.
I know. Had to go.
Uh-huh.
He's got to go slap on some beard oil.
You got that right. You got that right.
Do you ever feel that way, Dave? Do you ever regret the whole coming out of the ufology closet?
If I could do it all over again, I wouldn't.
A lot of people say that. And then a lot of people go, I can't not do it because I got to do it. So it's that double-edged sword of wanting and having them.
You know what? The biggest thing that bugs me is like for instance, I remember I was a guest on this one podcast and I was telling the story about Samantha Mowat and I in the forest. Mm-hmm. And this person in the chat room was, liar, that didn't happen. Stop telling false stories. You're just doing this for publicity. Really? I
have one of those.
Where I was just like, you know what? Fuck you. Pardon my language, but fuck you. We're not on the air, so I'm allowed to say it. And I was like, and I finally fired back at him. I said, were you there? I said, do you even know where Mission, British Columbia is? Were you there? Because there was Samantha, there was me, and I didn't see another person there. So if you weren't there, how are you to say this didn't happen? Right. I'm sorry. I'm so pissed off with people calling experiencers liars. Hey, I'll be the first one to say, you have to be skeptical. You have to be skeptical on the stories because there are those people out there who are a little bit, maybe different on the mentality side, where they are trying to get their 5, 10, 15 minutes of fame. I get that, and I understand that. But for the majority of people, 98% of the people who've had an experience, not just seeing little dots of light in the sky, but a true experience, they don't want that to happen. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes you do want it to happen. Well, but the majority of time, people don't want this. They don't want that surgery. I didn't want to wake up on the table and have my head killing me because they cut me open.
Right. There's always the not cool side of this that we somehow get over.
I realize
that. But I think where a lot of people outside of our community get lost in this, and even some in the community, it's they're trying to figure it out for themselves. And I know I experienced some of this to an extent. It's you don't know all those high strangeness factors all at once when you're trying to figure this out. So yeah, you said blinky lights in the sky. That's great. But it's once you start learning this anthology of, finding your own experience and comparing it to others and just that side of it, It's so rare that it's just the light in the sky. And like, people don't know, like this Dirads is a nice list, but people don't even realize that that is like a tiny percentage of what people go through and experience when they're an experiencer.
Okay, so I want to remind us and everyone listening that a DIRD is a reference document. It is not a scientific conclusion based on 5 sigma statistical analysis. So the paper on the experiencers says, look, here's a bunch of stories. Here's a bunch of data. Here's what they say. Here's what the little statistical analysis shows. And if you're going to talk about all this, you probably should talk to experiencers. And here's some of the stories they have. It doesn't say this is a document full of proof. And the fucking idiots that are on Twitter need to go back into their hole.
Exactly. We have 20 seconds, guys. Hold on. And Linda, Simon, Bob, Samantha, Cat Chaser, Christina, Thomas, and Amy, thank you for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support that you have for Spaced Out Radio. And here we go with the halfway point. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky-poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Science Bob and Friends continues right now, where we hang out with Dr. Bob McGwier and special guest Nicole Sakach, as we are looking in to the uglier side of ufology right now, where in the recent Dirads reports that were let out, it was talking about experiencers, people who have had some sort of health issues after coming in contact with UFOs. And this has become a hot button topic, especially on Twitter, on social media, where there's been a lot of people calling falsehoods to this and making fun of those who've had some pretty traumatic experiences. Now, Science Bob, I mean, there are a lot of professional people out there that are supposed to be trusted sources within this community who've really got a little, in my opinion, a little egg on their face for their sarcasm regarding the UFO phenomena and how people are interacting with it.
So this is true. Look, Kit Green did and whoever else worked with him did a really good job providing us, again, a reference document on the claimed happenings about the observed effects of being in and around these objects that make up the phenomenon. So it doesn't say we have 95% proof that these things happen. It is a reference document of those things you can expect to be reported when there are these incidents. But this stuff has been written down since Gordon Lohr and Kehoe wrote the original Strange Effects document in the 1950s. I mean, come on. Nothing's changed that much. It's the same stuff. And again, nobody is saying, here is ironclad proof ET did this. They're saying that people are having experiences, are exhibiting symptoms that look like this. And that is, and furthermore, if Kit Green and his research team wrote that stuff down in those documents and it was a lie, they'd be on their way to making small rocks out of big ones at friggin' Fort Leavenworth.
But let me remind you, Bob, Kit Green is known to have these conversations under the guise of he's trying to figure out their propulsion, how they pop in and out, not these other secondary woo-woo things that are going on. So there's some, what do we call it here in the Midwest? Two-stepping going on with that situation.
Again, the common belief from people who are doing research, especially those involved in authoring the DIRDs, was these side effects, these physical effects, these medical effects that are happening on humans are caused by the propulsion. That is their belief and the reason they were studying it. And so to the extent that we can explain what kinds of things would cause these health effects, we now have evidence, scientific evidence for the kinds of things that might produce that effect. So we have some information that we didn't have before about the propulsion systems.
So let me tweak this just a little bit, though. So he's trying to figure out the propulsion systems, and to figure out what's causing these symptoms, he's given experiencers MRIs and has taken blood/DNA samples. I'm just saying, you can use that data for something, and then you can also use that information in a secondary way. So are we seeing this secondary way at play right here?
Yeah, of course. Look, the data can be used by different scientists for different things. That is completely reasonable.
Across all government, so
across anyone who cares about this. Now, whoever wants these DIRDs has to have access to them back when they were classified.
So Kit Green has amassed said data. Jerry Reed could give access to that data across special access programs. And who could see what?
Okay,
and to what end?
So Gary Reed can know administratively what is in these research projects and something about the documentation and the evidence, but only the original classifying entity can give a release.
Gotcha.
The controlling classifying entity can give the release.
Well, let's get back to the experiencers here for a second, because looking at our crowd in YouTube, there is a lot of hot topics on this, from comments about this from experiencers who are tired of being beat up. Okay, Vaughn here. People abuse experiencers because they want to guard their white picket fence lives and use defection or abuse of facts to guard their lives. I mean, this is a subject that, innocent people here, Bob, they just want answers to what happened to them. They didn't ask for the little gray dudes to come into their bedroom and start taking them, whether it was in childhood or adulthood. They didn't ask for the to be a subject of a scientific test by some extraterrestrial force. They didn't ask for the reptilians to show up, or the mantid beings, or the humanoids. They never asked for it. And yet here they are, thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people in North America alone, never mind the world. Okay? And these people, they can't come out to their families because they are told, you're lying. You're making things up. They can't come out to their workers or their coworkers or their bosses. The doctors, because the medical people in this country, or in all of our countries, basically say, well, you're having some sort of psychotic hallucinations and want to put you on bed rest or in a padded room. I mean, experiencers do not win. And now their own community, where they should be safe, is turning on them again.
Yep. And it's just awful. So what can I say? The federal government, through its statutes allowing it to let out contracts, has gathered data that needs to be studied, and the people who were involved in producing the data for this study should be treated with respect. End of story.
I understand that, but when you have a lot of big name people out there on Twitter making fun of this, and it doesn't matter how skeptical they are, whether they're podcasters or whether they're journalists, whether they are bloggers, or whether they do whatever they may do. Okay. I mean, I don't understand why these people are in propulsion. I will tell you, and you guys may be differing from me. Nicole, we'll get your opinion first on this. But for me, as an experiencer, I couldn't give two cares about propulsion. I couldn't give two cares about what a Tic Tac is. I couldn't give two cares about anything. What I do care about is why at 38 years old or at 40 years old, going back 8 years now, did I start having these things happen? Why did that happen to me? I'm not alone. Take somebody like Samantha Mowat at 2 years old or less. Take somebody who is Karina Sables, can't hold down a job today because she's being taken along with her family members at least 2 to 4 times a week. You know, everybody likes to laugh at Whitley Strieber. That wasn't fun for him. You know, do you think he's really happy that in Communion he wrote about anal probes? Look at the fun that people have made about him. He's been the butt end, pun intended, of every joke, Nicole.
Yes. And honestly, like, when I think about what this comes down to and what they're letting out and what's leaking out, you try to look at motivating factors with people, correct? And so many motivating factors with people are sex and money. So you take the sex out of ufology because it's sex, and that leaves money. And maybe one of these next dominoes falling will get the people that want to exploit this phenomenon their money that they want, because that's what it comes down to. And I kind of believe that we've been a gold mine for years. We're a gold mine of information, and we're also our own worst enemy because we eat our own. So whatever they've learned and been able to exploit about the phenomenon is somehow tied up in money. So until they get their money, until the patent holders break their patents and get to release their knowledge to the world, it's going to trickle out like this for experiencers. We're going to have to fight tooth and toenail to make sure the information that is getting out there is correct and isn't some flamboyant and jolly story.
Very true. I mean, but for every Anjali story,
it's our job.
Look, I have no problem, Nicole, with the skeptics or people going after sensationalized stories. Okay, I do think that we do have to hold the experiencers accountable. But you know what? I can guarantee you, if everybody listening to this show went into our YouTube chat tonight, probably 90% of people in there have an experience with something, whether it's ghost, UFOs, aliens, or some sort of cryptid monster. All right. And it changed them. It changed their way of looking at humanity, their way of looking at trust. A lot of people previous to their experiences were very extroverted who have now internalized everything that goes on. Like, this is a major shift. And when you have one community that is supposed to support you, and you have morons in that community, and they know who they are, who are absolutely ripping people new ones, I got a beef with that. I got a real beef with it. Science Bob.
Well, so do I. So we're singing the same tune, because I just don't believe individual people should be shown disrespect because of the things that they've had happen to them in their life. I mean, come on. These are human beings. They have lives. They have families. They want to get on. They want to live in peace. And so the least we could do is treat them with respect and, give them a little hug. I mean, come on.
But it also goes to show how this opinion or how this field is all about opinion and not fact. So you have the people out there who claim that every experiencer is a liar. Well, just because you haven't had an experience doesn't mean people are lying. And it goes in the cryptid community. It goes to the paranormal community. Nicole, I know you want to speak up here.
I want to say that in all avenues of the phenomenon, like you just ran through them, the paranormal, cryptids, ufology, like one common theme when exploring the phenomenon effects, not necessarily what you see, but the effects of it, is it pushes you to recognize that there is a balance of things out there, whether it's, I hate saying the good and the evil, the loudmouths and the quiet, finding the essence of your masculine and feminine. Like, there is balance. And so with every negative pocket of ufology out there, the balance is the positive. So we're all doing our jobs. We are doing the jobs. So
we are. But here's the thing. You talk to any skeptic out there, Bob, and they say, well, I need proof. I don't want any more anecdotal stories. So my question is, what the hell is proof today? What is empirical evidence? Let me finish for a quick second, because if we bring you, as a scientist, Bob, if I bring you a photograph on and put it on UFO Twitter, it's going to get shredded apart. If I bring a video, automatically it's CGI or something fake. An experiencer cannot win and cannot, it's all and is always losing. There is no proof out there that will satisfy anyone. We've even seen your government in the United States try and bring out proof, but look how that's been shredded, Bob. What is proof?
So again, look, it depends on the target audience, and it really does. So a scientist is going to want to know from the microsecond of the event, the ownership of the data to include it in their scientific report. That's one group. A different group wants to hear the experiencer speak of it and feel that they understand the emotions, etc., that's gone on with this experiencer, so they can judge for themselves whether or not the experiencer is being truthful, or whether they are conflating it with something else, or whether they're simply mistaken. And so that's a different group. So the target audience has a lot to do with what constitutes proof. If you want a scientist to say something is real, don't come to me with anecdotal evidence and expect me to write a scientific paper, because even if I tried, it would be rejected by the editors of the journal. I'm telling you, what is required is different depending on who people are. And what I do think it should be required is people to be treated with respect.
I think respect went out the window a long time ago. Nicole.
In and outside of this community, I think this discussion happens all over the world. Like, honestly, what happened to the respect? Just the common decency of how we treat each other on this planet. And that might sound all love and light and let's hold hands and kumbaya, but honestly, what's so hard about showing each other a little love and support? We're all humans.
Wow. A little incense and peppermint from Nicole right there. as we continue on with SOR and the Science Bob and Friends. Dr. Bob McGwier is here. Nicole Sakach is here. But the idea is there is no proof that is going to satisfy anybody. There is no proof. Even if they hovered a spaceship over the Pentagon, the aliens came down and brought their UFO that's a mile long, and maybe 50 stories high, and they put it right over top of the Pentagon. Stephen Greenstreet is going to be like, yeah, that's CGI. There's nothing happening there. And people like that are almost reminding me of Chief Wiggum from The Simpsons. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. In the meantime, there's a fire burning behind. Right?
He saw a triangle craft too. I mean, that's why it always takes me aback when he takes these hard stance. He is a UFO witness, but he does say it didn't send him on this whole spiritual journey either. So, Green Street is Green Street, and that's fine. But he does these things not affiliated with the New York Post. I'll throw that in.
Yeah. He's doing all that as an individual, but not in print with the New York Post. So look, there's a video taken from 4 or 5 different angles of a gigantic pyramid floating over the Pentagon. What the heck do you need?
Obviously, nobody at the Pentagon went outside and saw this.
You're right.
Well, this is the case in point, though. I have found on an individual basis, and I hate talking about it this way because I don't think it's a hitchhiker effect, and I don't think it's like a prime experiencer effect. I will say, and it's happened again recently, when you want to have an experience and when you start diving into this and you realize that it's more than seeing a light in the sky, all this high strangeness stuff, you go, hey, something weird has happened to me. And when those gears start churning, it's I don't know how the woo describe it as opening your vibrations up to this or what it is. But then things start happening. And I've noticed this by people telling me, I never believed you. I didn't believe you for 5 years. I didn't believe you. I started looking into this. Boom, I saw something. Now I believe you. Oh my God, I'm paying attention. Theory of wow. That has happened so much to me over the past 5 years that trying to reach 1 million people, I know does not work for me. But reaching one person at a time and helping them through something, that is changing. That's my whole theory of change. If you want to change the world, you got to start in your own house. You got to start in your own community. You got to take it from there, and then it reaches the top.
But we also have to remember, as we got under 2 minutes to go here, opinion is not science. We can all have opinions. I have opinions on things, okay? But opinions are not science. And too many times we are using opinion as fact, especially against the experiencers, Bob.
True. As I said, the target audience of scientists needs data they can include in some kind of analysis, and the only data they will take is where the entire provenance from the inception of the event forward is in it. So look, you don't want to tell your anecdote to a scientist unless they are attempting to discover the emotional impacts of what went on. You don't expect them to say that nuts and bolts thing came from your emotions unless they believe we bring our own imaginations into reality. So each individual target audience is going to have their own information thereafter, their own biases, their own set of standards, and we just have to learn to target who we talk to, given the thing we're after.
Very true. Science Bob, Nicole Sakach, Thank you so much for coming on, Science Bob and friends. We will do it all again next month. But most importantly, we will see both of you cutting a rug at the Golden Nugget Casino next week in Las Vegas for the first annual SOR fan party. And if you, if you want to make plans and come join us on a spontaneous thought, do it. Come join us. We got lots of room. Yeah, just bring it on in. Bring it on in. Much love, guys. We will talk to you guys very, very soon. And, of course, coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. The Swamp Dweller has another spooky story for us. Then the fedora-wearing John Hudson joins us for the unbiased UFO report. Spaced Out Radio continues when we return for Hour 3. I love it.
I gotta say one thing. Everybody loves skeptics. Skeptics help us have the conversation. Those out there that choose to take this skeptical stance need to make sure that they're not Philip J. Klass. And if you don't know who that is, look it up and make sure you're not putting the ass in class. And then skeptic away. You know? Oh, that was good, Bob. I didn't know what to expect tonight.
It was great.
I enjoyed it. I hope we talked like we were able to work through some of that scenario with people, because it gets damn confusing. It does. And I want to thank the Sick Universe for giving us Harry Reid and Jerry Reid. Seriously? That's almost as bad as OAMSG. Like, let's just, come on. How much other silliness can we have related to this anthology? That's impressive, though. Like, it could be an SOR shirt, actually. Like Harry Reid's, or it's Jerry Reid's face on a domino. And do you usually stay up and listen to Swamp Dweller?
Yeah.
I try.
But typically I leave here. I leave my messy office, and I go lay down in the bed and listen to it on my television live with the rest of the audience. And sometimes I even stay awake.
You know, I always want to hear the end of the Swamp Dweller story. I always have a moment
where they're always weird.
I'm like, ooh, and then it's like,
exactly.
So the next morning, I have to get up and I have to find like where I fell asleep on, and then finish the rest.
Oh yeah, if I lay down, I'm gone.
Every once in a while, Dave will send me like a couple of the Swamp Dweller stories that he's trying to figure out which one he wants to use for that night. And so I'll hear like part of it in a preview, and I'm like, no, get off the phone with me. I got to hear the end. Like, I just have to have the hook. So no, it's great.
Oh yeah. I totally get it.
I know that there's something, he needs his own, like, I'm going to put you to sleep by Swamp Dweller. Like, like, I don't need endless thunder and rain. Just put on a swampy story and I'm good. Like, he can market that. I know he could.
Well,
hey,
it's good.
When we're in Vegas, you know how I always try to find people's woo side when they say when they think they don't have one. Well, we have a mutual friend that has been like, I don't got no woo side. That ain't happening. I love this. I dig into it all. Like, never had an experience. I found his woo side.
Oh,
and he just like inadvertently like shared this like part of his life with me and was telling me the story, and I'm like, and then I like threw it in his face, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't have a woo side? Well, you just said that doesn't happen to everybody. Blah, 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 blah. I went all crazy, and so now I'm all proud of this moment. And there was 2 people I told him I was going to tell, and I told Dave, and you were the other one. So
there you
I can't wait till we're in Vegas and we can discuss all of this
because what goes on in Vegas.
It's gonna be fun though.
Yeah.
No, like.
Well, fingers crossed. I got an email during the show from George Knapp. He wants to have a phone call tomorrow.
Good.
We love George.
Fingers crossed that he says I will be there. Fingers crossed.
It'll be fun because man, oh man, do we owe George?
Honestly,
we owe him so much.
Yeah, politically incorrect. I'm not going to have time to get to that question, but we will. We will get to that next time. You can ask, and
I missed it.
It's about the Benowitz case.
Oh,
but we don't have time. We got about a minute here. But thank you, Science Bob. Thank you, Nicole. I can't wait to see you guys next week in Las Vegas.
Awesome.
I've got to roll over my countdown. I'm now on 8 days till Vegas. 8 days till Vegas. Woo!
Oh yeah. Hey, there's Mickle Pickle Toes. He showed up finally. Yeah, the ugliest feet in ufology right there, Mickle Toes. But we love him around here.
All right, Bob, Dave, we'll see you.
Bob, Nicole, see you later, guys.
Bye,
much
everybody.
love.
Thanks,
Great
YouTube.
show. Great
Thanks,
show.
Dave.
Good night. I want to say a big thank you to Linda, Simon, Bob, Samantha, Cat Chaser, Christina, Thomas, Amy, and Jeremy for the awesome super chats. Very much appreciate it. And let's rock and roll here with hour 3, everyone.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Odyssey Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Gabel. Gabel is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky-poo's news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Now, before we get to the swamp, I just want to answer Shelly's question here. So is the Vegas a convention thing or just a bit of a get-together? This year, it's a get-together. Next year, we're going to expand it a little bit. I was not prepared for the hype from our fans all coming on in and our special guests coming on in, but we will be doing it again next year as well, and we want to invite everybody there. We're going to get some details going on. We're going to make it, get it going, so that way you all have a date for next year, and if you want to come next year, you can't make it this year, then you can come on next year and hang on out with us. And hey, it'll be Davey's 50th birthday party next year. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to party it up. Also, on a serious note, today would have been my nephew's 33rd birthday. We lost him 4 years ago to a fentanyl overdose while he was in rehab. And I hate to bring a somber effect to this, but, there's a lot of people out there that need help. And if you are one of those people that needs help, please do my family a favor and do yourself a favor, the people who love you a favor, and get that help. You are important, you are valued, and you are worthy of being a awesome human being on this planet. So do yourself a favor. We love you. The world loves you. The world needs you. Go on out, get that help that you need, because you need to win. There are so many families like mine around this world that have lost to drugs like heroin and fentanyl and crack and cocaine and everything else. This is a good opportunity where if you're thinking of getting help, go get help, because we need you to get help. You yourself and the little speck that we all are in the history of this planet, we all hold the beautiful part of history that makes this planet so awesome. Go get the help. Reach out, Google wherever you need to help, whether it's Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. Take the time to go get help so that way you can live, and you can live well and be who you need to be, which is a beautiful human being, and share the love, because we all love you and we all want you to get help. My family may have lost. There are tens of thousands of families out there that may have lost, but you can win, and we're here to support you. We're here to support you. We're here to help you. And we're here to say we love you, and go get that help that you need. Maybe this little speech is something that will give you the kick in the butt to go get that help. But damn it, guys, go get your help. We need you. We need you on this planet to help you make it better. Let's get to the swamp, shall we?
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. So, I'm about 13 to 14 years old, and the one thing I and my father enjoy doing is fishing and coon hunting. He coon hunted as a kid and sold the pelts for cash. It was kind of something I did just to spend time with my old man. We hunt a handful of spots every fall and winter, so we're pretty accustomed to all the areas and the trails and roads we take. My dad's a bit of a storyteller. One of those that tell the same stories every time we go to a place or remind him of an event. So, he has told me 100 times or so about losing his best coon dog, Hank, in the area he claims the locals call the Devil's Backbone. Let's call it TDB for short. TDB is a weird place, out on a never-ending gravel road. You pass an abandoned schoolhouse there, and there's a god-awful grinding of an old oil pump from about a mile away. At the end of the dirt road, there is a T intersection with a field in front of you that's maybe 5 or so football fields wide. To the right and to the left of us, there are woods and brush. A little before midnight when we parked the truck about 200 yards away and let the dog out the back. Hutch, our dog, has always been a good hunter, so we cheat a bit and let him run. When we hear him bay, we drive up to the T and turn right or left to base where he's at. Hutch plops down the tailgate, shoots into the wood, and me and my dad hop into the truck waiting for the call. We crack open the mason jars of chili we brought every trip and have nothing but the parking lights on. It's very enjoyable. It's very peaceful. But after about 10 minutes, I hear Hutch howling and going crazy. I open the door and stand out the truck trying to hear where he is. Dad fires up the truck and plops the lights on. Now, not a minute later, I hear my dog growling and the sound of what I know are him fighting and something right after that. I'm not sure how to explain this. It's an upright, let's say a man-like figure, about 6 feet tall. It walks across the headlights in front of us about 50 yards up. His eyes were glowing yellow from what I assume is the tapetum lucidium in his eye. Then, silence. No dog, no woods moving, no woods. Just the sound of the old, solid oil pump grinding away. I hop back in the truck and look at my dad. Did you see that? He shakes his head. Looked like a man with fur, but I couldn't tell as I only saw him for a second. We discussed it for a little longer and decided it was probably best that we just ignore it, because it was probably just another hunter out there that didn't have permission or something. We were a little freaked out and decided to get Hutch and call it a night. I hop back out the truck and yell for the dog, and Dad turns off the lights on the truck. Now, I'm not sure if the lights we saw were always there, or we just didn't notice them till the truck lights flipped off. Above the tree line, on the field in front of us, were glowing orbs of lights of different colors. Orange, light blue, green, light red, about 25 in total. I sit back down, and we just sit there and stare at the lights for what seems like an eternity. We drove closer up to the T before a single word is said. The sky glows like you would see a city or large business in the distance. The orbs are just so perplexing looking. They don't move or change color. It reminds me of stadium lights in the middle of a forest. So we sit there and watch, asking ourselves the usual question. What's back there? Nothing, it's all woods. Combines maybe doing a night harvest? Nope, woods in the river. You sure there are no farms over there? I'm sure. We finally get Hutch back to the truck and get him squared away. We watch the lights for another 15 or so minutes and head home, watching them in our rearview mirrors as we turn around and drive out. We went back to the spot the next day without the dog, and there were no lights. I hunted that spot 20 times before and many times since, and have never seen them lights before or after. To this day, they have no real explanation for the lights.
Wow. Losing your dog to a creature in the forest. Oh, the swamp dweller brings it large tonight once again, and we say thank you to Mr. Swamp Dweller for another amazing story here on Spaced Out Radio. Swamp Dweller, you can find all of his thousands of stories by going to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads for more amazing stories. I literally listen to the guy each and every night before I go to bed. And by the way, Sam White Owl, if you followed that story about the hunter, Sam White Owl, there's a new one on there right now. Cannot wait to listen to that later on. All right, the music means once again, it is time for the fedora-wearing John Hudson and the unbiased UFO report. Let's get to it. All right, the fedora-wearing John Hudson, there he is, styling and profiling, much like the Ric Flair of the UFO community. He's wheeling, dealing, kiss-stealing. He is the king of the UFO jungle, and he's here for the unbiased UFO report. Fedora-wearing John Hudson, how you doing, man?
Well, that was some lovely, lovely pats on the head after the crazy show you had tonight. It was a little hard to come on after that. It was impressive.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was an intense show.
Yeah, it was
an
really good stuff.
show.
Yeah,
Science
it was excellent. Yeah, no, it was really good, and it was especially because it was neat because you could tell that both Bob and Nicole, they were holding back stronger emotions and doing a really good job of it, and it was cool. It was a good example for everyone to listen to. It was a good dialogue.
Absolutely. You got fans in the chat room tonight, by the way. Love John. Let's go, John.
I was going to say, either that or they're bored and they're like, come on, let's go.
I do have to ask you one thing. How do you manage to get your fedora onto Bob McGwier all the way in Alabama, and then by the time he's off the air, you bring it back and you got it for the UFO report?
And your guest the other day was sporting a nice one as well. So, I think we got a little bit of a Hopefully, we get a little bit of a contagion problem.
Maybe. What do you got? What do you got for us tonight, man?
I got nothing, man. What do you got? That's I'm bored. Yeah. It's a buffet. It's whatever you want, whatever you feel like. This is this is a hard time. These are difficult topics because they're topics that involve a lot of emotions. So this all wraps around starting with those 1,500 documents, right? So there's that 1,500 document release is what started this whole snowball of effect. And that's what started conversations about pregnancy and things like that, right? That I'll get to first. But what I want to make sure you realize that this dovetails into is that then this dovetails into this incredible article by Tim McMillan, which you guys have talked about. And so there's this really interesting story arc going on. But let me touch on the first part. So we saw coverage of this from many different angles. And the one I love that I get such a kick out of because I love her different angles and because it brings me back fond memories of MTV is when Kennedy interviews Elizondo. And even Kennedy struggled with the topic. She said something to the effect of, so, I hear there are she said something about the unwanted pregnancies, and then she talked about bodies being invaded, and then she made some snarky comment about the fact that she was free tonight. So I mean, even she was actually, like poking a little bit, right? And then it cuts to Elizondo, and he's, he always looks like, he's about to, close the door on you and lock you away, and so and it cuts to him, and what was really fascinating was. Hats off to Thomas Fessler for noticing this as well. Was watching Kennedy through that interview, because what you don't know is was the original playfulness that she took with the topic her idea, or did someone write that for her? Because what you saw was a fast shift from playful joking Kennedy to very serious Kennedy, where she actually really engaged with Elizondo and actually did a good job of keeping him on task and saying, well, why do we care? Like, why does this matter? What's, how does this impact us, right? Being really good about continuing to drive him to those points. And so it was a really good interview, but to me, it's been, because you guys touched about this earlier. The problem with a lot of the periodicals that were referenced is that if you had not looked at those periodicals, you would have been doing bad science. If you'd looked at them and you'd not referenced them, you would have been doing bad science. If you looked at them and you referenced them, everyone's supposed to know this and be like, good, thank you, instead of like looking at it and going, you looked at those references. What were you thinking? How could you possibly look at that stuff? I mean, it's just like, it's so backwards, right? It's good that they looked at it because you wouldn't want them to not consider it. And then there's other things that were brought up in your interview today where, Bob mentioned the fact that, that, or maybe it was Nicole, I think it was Nicole, mentioned the idea that that there was a practice of taking known good information that had leaked and specifically wrapping it around a crazy story, giving it to tabloids to get it out there marked crazy so that if someone starts talking about it, you have cover for the fact that the information leaked. And so we know some of that went on, right? And there's always secondary, tertiary uses of things. But I think that Kennedy's approach to the topic, I don't know. I guess what I liked about it is that I saw several interviews of people on the topic that were really bad, like X-Files bad. And then I saw some that were honestly a little too serious and grumpy. And I thought Kennedy did a pretty good job of kind of poking at the funny elephant in the room. Like, let's be honest, right? There's a lot of stereotypes about it. And then, going very serious and actually like really asking Lou some good questions.
I want to ask you, because when this came out, you actually sent me a how can I put this? A note along with the Dirads that you were not happy that the experiencer point was brought out during these 1,500 papers that were released via FOIA request.
Yeah, and basically what I came to realize is that I was wrong, because for the very reasons I stated a few minutes ago, which is that, you know, if you were doing good science, you have to consider all the available data, and if you've considered data, you have to reference it. So, duh, you know. So, but when it comes to the experiencer stuff, even that falls into the same category. In that, if you're going to investigate this stuff, it's hard to say that you've done it with any sort of due diligence if you haven't evaluated the you know, the experiencer. However, I still very emotionally fall on the side of the comment that I made to you initially, because of the fact that I have worked with a lot of people who have been through trauma, and I've been through enough of it myself, and I don't like to see people in trauma, but the last thing I ever want to see is people in trauma being wounded a second time in the same spot with a sharper weapon. So, you know, it's just, I don't like the fact that it has given a tremendous amount of ammo to a bunch of people that were just waiting for any opportunity to take a shot, you know.
But here's
it's hard.
The problem, John. Here's the problem. What did these skeptics expect? Did they expect it was all going to be about these drone type, alien type vehicles that didn't have anybody on there, or that people weren't having experiences?
Actually, Dave, no, but actually, to answer your question, I think I can answer it very directly. I honestly believe, because I can say that I was like this at one point. I think that a lot of them can believe there are aliens, but refuse to believe that those aliens would be doing those things to them. They can't believe the second part. They can't believe the medical part. That's the part they cannot accept.
Well, but either way, I mean, there's thousands of cases out there, not only by MUFON, but NUFORC and other organizations that have reported this. I mean, you have to be very naive or extremely ignorantly staunch on your opinion in order to slam the experiencers that are putting their faces forward.
The most prestigious and well-respected person who's ever come out for any aspect of the phenomenon was John Mack. And that was all about experiencers. And how did we get that event and then not expect it to be covered later? That would be silly. But I still don't like it, because it opens up this incredible attack surface to a bunch of very insecure, very immature people, and says, have at me. And that just sucks.
No, I understand that. And we got about 2 minutes to go here before we have to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, the fedora wearing John Hudson's unbiased UFO report coming on in. So what do you take out of this then, with a bunch of podcasters and people who are somewhat influential on UFO Twitter, especially, absolutely making fun of the experiencers and the fact that the government has actually looked into a number of these cases?
Right now, it's a waiting game. And one of two things is going to happen. Either this is going to cause a pullback, like this will cause a backlash, which I think is probably, unfortunately, more likely. How much, we'll see. The second possible, hopeful possibility is that we adapt, because we can. We will. We just have to choose to.
Well, I mean, I understand that we can adapt, but I mean, the idea behind it, John, is the way it's being portrayed out on UFO Twitter. And it's only, look, it's not everybody. There are people standing up for the experiencers. Let's not say that the experiencers are just taking, shot after shot, even though many are. But I mean, there's a lot. It seems like the minute you come out in this field as an experiencer, you are labeled a liar these days. 5 years ago, before the To the Stars Academy, and I'm not blaming TTSA on this, I'm just saying as a reference point, you could be an experiencer. You could be someone who had some traumatic or enlightening experience with an extraterrestrial entity, and there was no real talk about it. There was no real backlash about it. And John, I'm going to have to get your opinion on that when we come back here on the Unbiased UFO Report with the fedora wearing John Hudson, because we are about to go to break here on Spaced Out Radio. We got the final half hour coming up with John, and then we are going to go into Shirky-poo's news for some more weird stories. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear, dude.
So do I get to say one F-bomb and one S1? Is that
No!
Is that the quota now? Is that the
No!
But Nicole got two.
I know, and I'm disappointed in her. Now I have to edit after the show. Darn it. Plus, I think you have some very cute company beside you that you can't do that.
This is true. This is true. This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
Although it's a shame you can't keep it in, because to be honest with you, her first one was incredibly appropriate and well placed.
It was. It caught me off guard.
It was very natural. It was very appropriate.
Let's give a shout out to Ashley Just listening in for the first time tonight on our chat room. So welcome, Ashley.
Welcome.
And who else is here? Karyn is here. She was brought over by. I gotta find it here. I apologize. Karyn Lewis.
I gotta
Welcome.
say, part of me really feels sorry. Like I have a good friend who grew up with the name Karyn. I haven't talked about this. It's got to be a little bit rough having the name Karyn at this point. I mean, like the whole Karyn phenomenon is getting really out of control.
I think she's tough. If she's coming in to listen to a UFO field, I bet you that she could probably bench press 200 pounds and can, and she struts her stuff down the sidewalk with a lot of vigor. I'm just saying,
A lot of spitfire.
She's a spitfire. Thank you for coming on in, courtesy of Loyal to the Foil. Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Let's see who else we got here.
It's kind of neat when news actually breaks on your show, which then I have to take notes about and then report on later on your show.
I know.
Very weird, especially considering the fact that later YouTube will send me a notification telling me that this is on and I should watch it.
I know, right? Right? Oh, Simon in Australia says, John definitely struts down the sidewalk. Oh, yeah. John is the reason why Right Said Fred created the song I'm Too Sexy. It's true. You can't make this stuff up. Shelley says, John, I don't care who believes me, but my experiences include asking questions and searching for what comes through to me that I feel like I'm being monitored. Does this really happen? John muted himself. He's thinking. He's thinking hard. Now he's going to...
No, sorry. My daughter bumped her knee, so give me a second here. I apologize. Give me a second here.
Yeah, no problem. Fun times on Spaced Out Radio. Just for the record, for anybody asking, I wear this hat twice a year. One on my nephew's birthday, and then I'll wear it again on July 17th, which is the day he passed. Those are the only 2 times you'll see me wear this hat. That's it.
So the comment, this is their challenge, is that you have to put on every single hat in this game and look at every single person's perspective, because there is a lot of depth to the story, and that person's dead on. If you are an experiencer and you need answers, then you have every right to expose as much of your story as you feel you need to get the answers you want. And that's a whole different ballgame. That is you doing that on a very different aggressive stance. That's very, in my opinion, that's very different than someone sharing their information maybe semi-privately, and then some other information getting out, or them getting anonymously quoted in the story. And then to me, there's a difference. There's I don't know. To me, there's a difference. But I agree with the comment.
All right, John, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Big thank you to Linda, Simon, Science Bob, Samantha, Cat Chaser, Christina, Thomas, Amy, Jeremy, and Magnus for the amazing super chats, and very much appreciate the love and support. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up or thumbs down tonight. You can do a little shopping on our Spaced Out Radio website. Click on shop. We've got some really cool swag there. And of course, thank you to all the veterans out there who are tuning us in. You always have a safe place in our chat rooms. And all the regulars, you guys are amazing, man. Thank you for the love. And we've averaged over 200 people each night this week. It's been phenomenal. Here we go. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone, wherever you are. I love it. Love the fact that we have people all around the world listening to us. You know, the other day we had somebody in South Africa tuning on in.
All around the world, even flat earthers. All around the world.
All around the world, even for the flat earthers as well, who do not believe Australia exists. I don't get that one. I really don't.
God, Dave. Never mind. Sorry, go ahead.
I know.
I know. Interview the other day. I could not believe this interview I heard the other day. It was so amazing.
Australia does not exist, people. No, it is not part of the Commonwealth. It does not exist. And
it's a staged prop.
By the way, reminder to all of you, you can check out our archives for free. Go to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Download them. Go to Spreaker and any Apple, iTunes, or any podcast shop. We're there. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio as well. And of course, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Reach out and read Shirky-poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Michael Gutierrez brings up a good question here before we get back into the UFOs. What about flat earthers that live in Australia? John.
The thing that's so hard for me is that I really do believe that anyone, even flat earth, deserve a minimal level of respect and decorum and so forth. It's very hard for me, and I don't like to laugh, and I try really hard not to. But yes, there are some challenges. There are some significant challenges with yes.
All right, back to UFOs here, because there is no Australia according to the flat earthers. I know. We just shake our heads sometimes. But let's get to it. A lot of people in the UFO world right now who are not liking the idea that there are experiences that are being investigated, whether it's through MUFON or using the sources of the National Enquirer or even a Penthouse Australia magazine. that does not exist, by the way, according to flat earthers. Take it away.
I don't know. To me, this is just, look. There was always this big question of at what point is the experience or information going to be released? At what point is the experience or information going to be focused on? And is there going to be any even reason to focus on it? Right? I mean, is there going to be any positive outcome for them in any way, shape, or form? It's a whole other ballgame. And there's been this debate as to when it's going to happen. And I think for good or for bad, someone decided to drop some of it now, and what we're getting to watch is what happens. And now we can decide what to do. I mean, this was actually, unfortunately, a good test. Didn't get the results that I would like, but hey, it is what it is. I think in the future we need to be, and this is the problem, is that you can say, okay, we need to be more careful, but then how do you keep from doing what that other agency did that you were upset about, that was cleaning the cryptid reports, right? BFR, whatever they were called, that were taking the reports and changing stuff, right? And that's the problem, is you start, if you start trying to modify the reports at all to make them more digestible, then you're not doing science. It sucks. It's very frustrating.
Well, as I said to Science Bob, though, and I'm curious to get your opinion on this, we do see a lot of opinion being thrown around as fact. And that is dangerous. Opinions that these experiences aren't happening. People being called liars and fakers, John.
Well, yes. So yes, and that comes deeper to that, because that just actually comes down very flatly to judgment. And contrary to our capitalistic views, judgment doesn't really have any place anywhere. And so the problem is that as soon as people start doing that, the harm that they can, even a perfect stranger can do so much harm to someone who has been in a violent abuse situation if they're not believed. It's really weird how the psyche works. The damage is serious. And so, but at the same time, you have to be fair. I mean, humans are humans, and we know how we behave, and we giggle when we don't understand, and we laugh about what we're afraid of. And so we do have to kind of accept to a certain degree that humans will humans, and we have to mitigate toward that effort, right? It's a process. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Is this is going to be a long process.
Well, how do we change it? How does the attitude of UFOs change? Because it still baffles me that many out there in the UFO land don't want anything to do with the experiencer portion of this. And yet the experiencers are obviously a major part of this entire phenomena.
Well, I mean, Dave, what you're basically asking me is, how do we take very embarrassing wetware medical exams to your personal body and turn that into something that you want to see on TV? I mean, this is the problem, right? Is it essentially you're talking about a subset of features in this whole phenomenon that by themselves are almost never acceptable to talk about anywhere in any topic, right? This isn't specific to UFOs, right? These are topics that no one likes to talk about. They're uncomfortable, they're icky, they're yucky, right? They're messy, right? They're very emotional. They're very emotionally charged. They can have huge religious impact. It's very dangerous stuff. It's freaking dynamite. I don't know. Part of my problem is that I come from a place where my personal is that if I can't show evidence for something, I'm probably never going to talk about it. And that's probably too strict of a set of guidelines, but maybe that's what people need to start taking into account. Maybe people just need to stop talking about the things that they can't offer some evidence for, because it's just going to be too hard to debate them if they want their thing to be talked about in public.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't. And I recommend, honestly, my recommendation to people is find some good friends. Tell them, talk about it. Do not go public.
I understand that, but you would think in a UFO community that it would be a lot more friendlier.
Why?
Why? Because you're part of the phenomena that's happening.
No. If I came in here because I want to learn how to go the speed of light or faster, or if I came in here because I want to travel to another solar system, or if I came in here because I want to believe reptilians exist, or if I came in here, none of those people want to then hear about proctoral exams.
Well, I wouldn't say none of them. If it's happening,
if they went on that ride as well, then yeah, but I'm still not sure they want to hear about it. I mean, I don't know if it's ever going to be good material for media.
Oh, I agree with you there. I don't think the mainstream media is very, very up to date on the whole anal probing thing.
Well, that's why
they lead to shows like us.
Well, yeah, but I don't. Yeah, right. Yeah, all these wonderful podcasts with all these people with all this training in psychiatry and therapy. Yeah, no, that's terrifying. That's the problem, Dave. Is that I don't know. I don't know if there's any venue to talk about these things. And I think that I think certainly people are welcome to talk about them if they want to, but I just don't know if we should be. I don't know. I think it's horribly challenging. Horribly challenging. Messy.
I understand that. I do. But hey, the community is big enough where it could support it all, and we should also be remiss. We wouldn't be remiss to say that it's not all the bad eggs out there that are saying it. And that's why I also posted on Twitter. If you're not an experiencer, you shouldn't be speaking for experiencers. You really shouldn't, unless you are involved in scientific study regarding the phenomena on people.
Well, no matter how you cut it, if I say I saw something and I was there and I saw it, for anyone else to say that I like to counter, if no one else was there, that's just weird. Right? You have no data at all. You might say, I think it's unlikely.
You have no data on anything, though, John. You have no data on anything. And if you do have data, the community just absolutely drags it through the mud.
Well, yeah. But that's the thing, is a lot of this is about your comfort levels with what you're doing. If you've done your best and there's ways, I don't know, to me, I don't know, to me that allows a path to do it. And I think a lot of this stuff, if you handle it more, you take like I don't know if we're gonna have time, but the other thing I wanted to get into tonight, which is what Macmillan wrote about. I mean, to me, that's a much more professional, clean way of dealing with a similar sticky situation, right? Because we have in that case, sexual situations, harassment, intimidation. I mean, these once again are very sensitive, uncomfortable. Maybe not quite as uncomfortable as some of the other things, but definitely up there. And because of the framework in which it's being dealt with, I think that it's a lot. Like, I wouldn't expect people to be making jokes about office relationships as a result of Tim's story. Right?
Well, I understand that, but that's a completely different angle to what we're
Correct.
talking about.
No, but and that's what I'm saying is that maybe that's what's needed, is a completely different approach to it. And I'm just saying that there we have an example of a very different. I don't know if it's the right approach. I'm just saying it's a different approach, and it's an approach that allowed him to talk about some similarly very sensitive topics. And I don't think that exposed that group to ridicule, whereas the way we handle the other ones does.
Something to think about. The fedora wearing John Hudson, thank you for a wonderful, wonderful unbiased UFO report. More giving your opinion tonight on some serious topics, namely one. And we will talk to you very, very soon, my friend. You have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy. Take care. Let's get to Shirky-poo's news. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you Shirky-poo's news at the end of each show. We're going to start over in Russia here, where the man dubbed as the Russian Popeye, who is known for his huge artificial biceps, has ignored death warnings by doctors after he underwent surgery in order to look more like an alien. The 25-year-old has become pretty popular online and has racked up nearly 1 million followers on TikTok. Although the Russian has been forced to undergo a number of corrective surgeries due to his issues occurring from dead muscle in his arms, despite the constant death warnings from doctors, Tarashin has decided to have cosmetic treatment because he wants to look more like an alien. He has showed off his new look to his followers with enlarged lips, cheekbone fillers, plus shaping his lower jaw and forehead. I am ideally a handsome male, he claimed on a video. All stands out clearly. Lips, chin, cheekbones, forehead, nose is even, lower jaw. He added, I wanted to make an alien face. I have believed in aliens since I saw UFOs as a teenager. I know that they exist and that they are the most powerful race in this entire world. I feel like I'm going to them. Okay, Tarashin has already had his fake triceps removed, but has so far ignored the advice to get rid of the dangerous giant implants from his biceps. But inaction will not help the patient. The toxic substance in his body long term can complicate the kidneys and lead to death. He confessed, I bulked up my arms when I was 20 due to my own stupidity. I did not think about the consequences. And he was initially persuaded to save his life and remove the implants by Alana Mamieva, a 33-year-old campaigner for victims of botched plastic surgery who was formerly married to Russian football star Pavel Maeva. And after having the tricep surgery, he said he was very afraid about undergoing the knife to remove the hardened jelly from his biceps and has evidently not done so. All right. You know how I say that I will never, ever jump into the ocean because of sharks? This may be the reason that pushes me over the edge to actually do it. Why? Never thought it would come to this. But apparently, Ben & Jerry's has made vegan ice cream. We partnered with Vegan Action to certify that our non-dairy does not include animal products or any kind of eggs, dairy, or honey. After experimenting with a variety of options, we decided that almond milk and sunflower butter were the best dairy-free blank canvases for our euphoric chunks and swirls. We are proud to say that these euphoric concoctions are made with non-GMO sourced ingredients. We source 5 fair trade certified ingredients: sugar, cocoa, vanilla, coffee, and bananas. The vegans have won again. This is a tough blow, people. Yep. And they go on to their website. They say, All the fun of Ben & Jerry's, minus the dairy. Our certified vegan non-dairy flavors are chock full of the chunks and swirls you love. In the lineup, you'll find non-dairy versions of our classic ice cream flavors, as well as plenty of exciting non-dairy exclusives made with either almond milk or sunflower butter. They have a creamy, dreamy texture that makes a perfect blank canvas for our flavor gurus' wild creations. The non-dairyist desserts have never tasted so very Ben & Jerry's. That's BS. I haven't even tried one, and I know that's BS. You know why? They're giving that same excuse that people who make diet pop like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, and they put in that aspartame crap, and they try and sell you that says, oh, it tastes just the same. It tastes just the same, people. Just try it. No, it doesn't taste the same. This is where swear words need to be allowed on terrestrial radio, because I have a lot of them built up right now. There are certain things you don't mess with, and ice cream is one of them. It's one of them. It's not ice cream anymore. It's different. People say, God darn, Dave, make the change already. Stop being so ancient. No. It doesn't taste the same. It will not taste the same, and I guarantee you they will probably fall flat on their face with this one. I'm upset about this. Very, very upset about this. All right, let's move on. My favorite artist is Banksy, by the way. And he did a charity, and the funds from sale of a print by Banksy have totaled $133,000 that he will donate to a Ukrainian hospital in Kiev. According to a private sale network, My Art Broker, the 2005 piece, CND Soldiers, was donated by an anonymous client to support the initiative, a Banksy for Ukraine. The print is of two soldiers holding large guns, one of which is painting a graffiti peace sign on a wall in red. The other looks out. The money from the silent auction is going to Omid Children's Hospital, which continues to operate despite the shelling and airstrikes by Russia since the outbreak of the Ukraine war at the end of February. I love it. And finally tonight, a 20-year-old man is in intensive care after a freak accident happened while he was pulling the goalie. That's the Swiss patient, who remains anonymous, presumably out of embarrassment, suffered a rare lung injury caused by rigorous exercise and violent coughing. He's been hospitalized for 3 days, spent a night in ICU as the air had escaped from his lung and became lodged in his rib cage. Yep, orgasms can be dangerous. Thank you to Shirky-poo for the news. Thank you to the fedora-wearing John Hudson, the unbiased UFO report, Swamp Dweller for another great story, and of course, Science Bob and Nicole Sakach for a wonderful show tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. It was a good show, people. Good show. Do 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 do. Give me 2 seconds here. Do 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 do. Get rid of that. That's loaded. There we go there. I'll be right back, people. I gotta hit the loo. All right. There we go. Get rid of that. Open up that. Go there. Be with you in 2 seconds, guys. Feel free to ask me anything. Let's do this thing, man. While I'm editing. Oh, excuse me. All right. Let's do this. Let us edit, shall we? Let's copy. Let's not forget about cutting out bad Nicole's swear words. All right, so there's the first one. First one happened about 2 minutes left. 27. So it should be right.
They funded OSAP and they let ATIP run with a guy probably was not in the loop and was angry.
Evil Reed. Good
Yes,
Reed.
Evil Reed.
and
Evil Reed was mad at Good Reed and Lou.
Politics.
Always.
As we got about 1 minute to go here before we go to break here at
It sounds to me like Reed was mad because he didn't know anything about the program Lou was running, or he wasn't in charge of it. And when he resigned, that's when Lou was like, no, I'm not going to come in and talk to you about this. I'm still resigning. And then that's when the switch flipped and he was like, I'm coming to get you. So there's something in there where Lou already knew he couldn't trust this man to bring him into ATIP, now ATIP OSAP. So
yeah, look, Harry Reid had gone around the system.
That's 20. Hold on here. That's 16, 26. Should be around here.
Tim McMillan has stirred a massive pot with this article. I mean, the bells are ringing all around the 5 rings of the Pentagon.
Dave, I want to make one little minor adjustment to how you just laid that all out.
Sure.
It sounds to me, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, according to this article, it sounds to me like Reed was mad because he didn't know anything about the program Lou was running, or he wasn't in charge of it. And when he resigned, that's when Lou was like, no, I'm not going to come in and talk to you about this. I'm still resigning. And then that's when the switch flipped and he was like, I'm coming to get you.
Look, and this guy was pissed. The just boy was not.
Good
yes,
Reed.
Evil Reed was mad at Good Reed and Lou.
Politics.
Always.
As we got about 1 minute to go here before we go to break here at the bottom of the hour, Science Bob and Nicole Sakach are here. I have to carry this over to the deck through the break here, Bob.
Sure. I believe
louder than words.
And they're just not going to.
This affects ufology. And
there were higher rank
who's been a that was trained. What the hell is it?
Yep. Well, now we know part of it, and we know what a bad actor Lou was in.
His
secretaries either
having a little fun.
Absolutely,
it was bad.
I'm just trying to play it nicely here. You know, I mean,
no, it's bad. Let's not be nice.
I'm not sure they were secretaries either. So let's not make any kind of make them sound like these were true underlings. Really,
no. There were higher ranking people even involved in these relationships.
Okay, screw it. It was just an orgy at his office at the Pentagon. All right, let's just call it what it was. And here he is, a man who has a lot of pull. He didn't like the fact that Lou Elizondo made UFOs very public. This is a man who's been a real thorn in the side of the UFO community, because the one thing that a lot of people had asked for, Bob, was we needed to know these names. We needed to know, outside of knowledge where they felt it belonged.
Yep. Well, now we know part of it. And we know what a bad actor he was. And now this is kind of a klaxon sounding out over the Pentagon. Look, I promise you, Tim McMillan has stirred a massive pot with this article. I mean, the bells are ringing all around the 5 rings of the Pentagon.
Dave, I want to make one little minor adjustment to how you just laid that all out.
Sure.
It sounds to me, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, according to this article, it sounds to me like Reed was mad because he didn't know anything about the program Lou was running, or he wasn't in charge of it. And when he resigned, that's when Lou was like, no, I'm not going to come in and talk to you about this. I'm still resigning. And then that's when the switch flipped, and he was like, I'm coming to get you. So there's something in there where Lou already knew he couldn't trust this man to bring him into ATIP, now ATIP OSAP. So
yeah, look, Harry Reid had gone around the system to help Lou do his thing, and this guy was pissed.
See you, Justin.
Reed, like a good evil fucking showdown. Sorry.
There it is.
And this guy was pissed.
Reed, like a good evil fucking showdown. Sorry.
So the
fucking showdown. Evil fucking showdown. Showdown. Sorry.
So his thing, and this guy.
Reed, like a good evil showdown. Sorry.
So
There we go. Finally found it. Thanks, Nicole. Thank you to Liliopatra, and again to Obi Flett for the amazing super chats. Really do appreciate the love, everyone. Thank you so much. Really helps out what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very much for the love. All right, let's continue on here. Any questions? Put them in capital letters, and I will get to them as I am doing this. All right, now we go find Nicole number 2 here. Nicole number 2. No, that should be about there. Copy, paste. Hi, Mystics Walk. How are you? Now I got to find a shit at 9:55. All right, so that should be right there, the start. Oh, stop that. Let's go like that. Trim that off there first and foremost. And then at 9:55, so we start at 35, 45, 55 should be around here.
Like, I know we'll continue this more in the next hour, so I don't know what did he really think he was in for with this? I mean, I'd like to think he had like the 10-year plan going on, but it's sounding like the clog was removed from this funnel, and it's like Bob said, it's all coming out now faster than you thought, because that's what happens when you unclog a bottleneck. So, yeah. It can be messy though. That's where Lou's at right now. He's like holding the funnel. You either get this shit all over you. Now he's like holding the funnel. You either get this shit all over you. Shit all over shit funnel. You either get this shit all over you. Get the funnel. You either get the shit all over you, or you all over you. Get this all over you, or you move it out.
Good enough. Thank you again, Nicole. Hey, Looney. How you doing? All right. I don't know, Joe, about the whole legs thing. Don't know. It's a good mystery. I'm going for a haircut tomorrow. There. Pinzer, our radio stations play tonight's show the following night, so that's why I edited them up for them. I'm not cutting this part. I'm just getting the sides and everything trimmed and my beard trimmed, because I don't want to go to Vegas with my thick beard and then my hair. Because when my hair starts to get thick, I can't wear a hat. Don't worry, the length is staying. I like the length it's at right now. What the heck is that? Oh, that's that. Never mind. Now, don't worry about that. This part ain't being cut. Not yet, at least. No questions? You guys just hanging out? Hi, Chris Mo. How you doing? Good night, Corbenian. Liliopatra, good night. Good night, Michael Fontaine. I did answer it, Joe. Where were you? Where were you, Joe? Where were you, man? It is kind of cool. Dave is not showing up in Vegas with a mohawk. I'm going to get pampered tomorrow. That's all that matters. In other words, I'm getting my ear hair shaved. It's got to be the bloody worst is ear hair. Hot damn, I hate ear hair. In 2 seconds, people. All right, there we go. Almost there. Almost there. There we go. No, Bob didn't show off any Astro pics. No, nose hair isn't good either, Ann Palmer. Definitely not. Hey, River Dogma, how are you, man? No, I don't have. Actually, I do have flip flops upstairs in my closet. I don't know if I'll bring them. Really don't know. My favorite shoes are my slip-on Skechers. Am I taking my swim trunks along? No. No. I never sit at the pool in Vegas. I did it once and I hated it. Actually, I did it twice. Once on my pre-divorce party, and then when I took my kid was down with me in Vegas one time, and I took her down to the pool. No. There's sharks in that pool, Obi Flat. You never know. That tank may explode. The next thing you know, you got man-eaters all around you. Not taking a chance. I'll view it from a distance. It is gorgeous. But there is no way that I'm going near that pool. You just cannot take a chance, man. Like, this is how people die. Oh, let's just go for a swim in the ocean. Yeah, next thing you know, boom, your arm's ripped off. Bleeding to death right there. Not taking that chance. You can't take that chance, man. I like to think that I'm smarter than that. Exactly. We don't want to lose Dave. Oh, Obi Fled, I agree with you. It is one of the coolest pools out there, that's for sure. But, excuse me, there comes a reality to it. That reality is, could get eaten. Don't want to get eaten. I got a lot to offer yet. I don't want to be eaten. I'll have fun for everybody. In the Colorado River, the bluegills are the most dangerous we have. Oh, that's easy. Bluegills are simple. Of the 130 people still here, well, there's one watching on Twitch and one on Facebook, so 128. Wonder how many people are sleeping that they don't even know. I always wonder that. That one's done. That one's done. Hank's working because it's what time is it in Dutch land right now? What time is it in Amsterdam? Close enough. 9:33 in the morning. So he just started work. I have heard numerous times that Binions Casino is haunted. I don't know if somebody's died in every single room, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that place is 60, 70 years old almost. Hi, Majdi. How are you? Repair manuals do not count, man. I had to read a manual on. I put in a new stereo deck in one of my vehicles and in my Jeep, and because I wanted Bluetooth in there. And my God, I can't get the thing figured out if life depended on me. Can't change the date on it. Read the manual like 3 times. Can't change the date. I may color my beard tomorrow. You guys will find out tomorrow night if I did or not. All right. It is that time of the night where I have to say goodbye to all you wonderful people, because old Davey got to go to bed. I got a long weekend, so I'm having to go into the office tomorrow. So I want to say a big thank you to Linda, Simon, Bob, Samantha, Cat Chaser, Christina, Thomas, Amy, Jeremy, Magnus, Liliopatra, and Obi for the amazing super chats tonight. And big thank you to all of you for your love, support. Thank you to all the thumbs up and all the amazing people that were here tonight, especially our regulars who are here on a nightly basis. Don't forget, you can get your SOR swag. We got some really cool stuff in our store right now. Just go to spacedoutradio.com and click on the shop tab and check it on out. Tomorrow night on the show, Tom Matt is here, or Tom Matty, I think it's Matty. We're going to be talking UFOs, how he went from a successful marketing executive to literally going down the tube of madness, thank you to UFOs. Yeah, how weird is this? We're going to get into it tomorrow night on the show, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. Then, of course, this weekend, after hours. So you make sure you check that out as well. Good night to you all. We'll see you tomorrow.